subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Superintendent Kataoka through the genuine performance and spirit that he could take. Everyone at Seido High School believed that as long as Sawamura stood on the mound, they would not lose. It was also from that time that Sawamura became the ace of Seido High School. He won the trust of all Seido team members. Now that Tampa has reached this point of growth, he expressed his ace's spirit with his strong determination of not giving up and has won the approval of all third-year players. To put it bluntly, if there is no Sawamura, the ace pitcher of Seido High School will be Tampa. Although the sense of stability he brings to his teammates is far less than that of Sawamura, his teammates are willing to believe him. They believe in the guy who grew up with them. Of course, the same is true for Tampa. Because of Sawamura's appearance, the pressure on him has been relieved a lot, and he can play baseball more simply. Although he said that he would never give up the ace, Tampa also knew that it would be difficult for him to catch up with his Kohai Sawamura for a while. Now his plan is very simple. He just wants to play baseball with these guys who have grown up together and aim at Koshien and work hard together. Even if it is with Sawamura's assistant, he has to contribute his own strength to the team. This simple plan gave him a strong motivation. Tampa came on the field, had 2 strikeouts and 1 shutout, and walked off the mound with a near-perfect performance. Even Miyuki, who was his partner, was very surprised. To be honest, before he took the ball on the field, he didn't know that Tampa Senpai's forkball still had such power. Not only his mentality, but also his pitching has also risen to a new level. If it wasn't for the sudden addition of Sawamura, Tampa would have been worthy of the status of the ace of Seido High School. So cool. I told you, you can do it if you want. Anyway, you're also our third-year ace. You can keep that. You don't need to shave your head. Yeah, what a pity. Teammates are both encouraging and ridiculing. In the face of Tampa's growth, they are all happy from their hearts. Although the current Seido High School has an established ace, Sawamura is only a freshman after all, considering the intensity of the summer competition and the possibility of the Koshien competition. With Sawamura alone on the pitcher's mound, it will be difficult to hold on. It is great that Tampa can evolve at a time like this. With Sawamura and Tampa around, it seems that this year, Seido High School no longer has to worry about the pitchers on the pitching squad. In the rest area, the different atmosphere successfully angered one person. It seemed as if something was about to spurt out from Furuya. Although this guy is quiet, he is very attentive. Just like now, he did not say a word. Nevertheless, all the players in Seido High School understood what he meant. What about me? What he means is that there is still him, and, to put it more plainly, it is to show his sense of existence. There is also Furuya Satoru on the mound. When they saw Furuya like this, all the players in Seido High School had very strange expressions. Furuya Satoru is definitely a very interesting person. He is strong, right? He is so strong. So far, whether it is an official game or a practice game, as long as he is allowed to play, Furuya's performance cannot be ignored. It can even be said to be dazzling and scary. He only played once in the Kano tournament before, and he won that time with several strikeouts in a row. Moreover, got his title as the Monster. In the 2 practice games, yesterday's pitching performance was unsatisfactory, but he hit the only home run of the team, and it was a reversal home run. One success can hide 10 failures. During the practice game, all the shameful things of Furuya were conveniently forgotten. The only impression left by people was that amazing home run. In today's practice match with Inashiro, he showed excellence. 1 home run, 6 strikeouts. In the 2 games played, the result handed in by Furuya, even if Sawamura got in, may not be better than him. However, whether they can trust Furuya Satoru or not is absolutely irrelevant. Seido High School values the performance of the players in their daily practice as much as the performance in the game. If a player can't do well in his usual practice, how can you trust him to play? In the performance of Furuya Satoru in his daily practice, it can be said that he is completely useless. As a pitcher, it's not just about not pitching into the strike zone. Containment, defense, cover, he has none of these working for him. With such a pitcher, how could Sita High School hand over the pitcher's mound to him? That is, a mentor like Kataoka would give him the opportunity to play. If it were other coaches, even if he thought that Furuya had great potential, it was impossible to promote Furuya to the first string, because it was useless to promote him to the first string. Rough diamonds need carving. This is what all the players of Sito High School know about Furuya. The reason why Kataoka put Furuya on the field in the practice match with Inashiro before is also because Furuya is not the main force in summer. If Inashiro can put too much energy on Furuya, it'll be very beneficial to Sidu. This was the original plan of Sidu High School and Superintendent Kataoka. However, as long as Furuya Satoru is in the game, his performance is not inferior to that of Sawamura. At least until now, apart from yesterday's game against Osaka Kiryu High School, Furuya Satoru's performance on the mound was no worse than Sawamura's. You don't even need to compare him to Tampa. Not to mention Tampa, who was in a sluggish state before, even if he now has the spirit of an ace after letting go of the burden in his heart and fully recovered. Even Tampa Koichiro, who is on a higher level. Until now, Furuya has been better than him in all the competitions he has participated in. The only thing he lacks right now is probably the lack of trust from the players of Sita High School. Moreover, this is not one or two players. No players in Sita High School really believe that he will do better than Sawamura and even Tampa. Nevertheless, you have to admit that when Furuya stood on the pitcher's mound, the players were also looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing the shocked expression on the opponent's face. 187. Chapter 63. Curveball of Fate. The growth of Tampa Koichiro has brought about great changes to Sita High School. This represents the full rise of Sita High School's pitching squad. In the past, Sita High School always had the problems of a poor pitching squad. From now on, Sita will be the kingdom of pitchers. The game continues. In the second half of the 7th inning, Sita High School attacked. They were already 14 points ahead, and they are still not satisfied. In the 7th inning, it was Sidu's turn to attack. 7th batter, left fielder Sakai-kun. After Sakai came on the field, he directly won an outfield hit and ran to second base in one breath. No out, runner at second base. 8th batter, right fielder Shutkin. Ping. The small white ball was smashed and then flew against the sideline on the first base side. Although the distance is not very far, the place of landing is very tricky. Sakai went from second base to third base and went straight back to home plate. Sidu scored the 15th point of the game. No out, runner at first base. Even if it was the bottom lineup, the players from Sita High School also erupted with extraordinary attacking power. Inashiro's team, watching the battle, also looked very solemn. The more the game goes to the later stage, the more it can show the overall strength of a team. When Sidu is in the late stage, the attack is still very stable. Even if it is the bottom lineup, the strength of the attack should not be underestimated. This year's Sidu is really tricky. You can't lower your caution even against the lower lineup. Harada said coldly. Harada, the captain of Inashiro Industrial High School, is the current overlord of West Tokyo. Normally, Harada also has his own pride. Even at his level, this year's Sito High School is definitely not an easy match. He has a hunch that this year's Sidu will become the biggest obstacle for Inashiro. However, he was not afraid of this challenge, and being able to compete with Sita High School in a fully evolved state made him very excited. Only by overcoming such difficulties can they go further in the field of Koshien. Nint gatter, Peter, Tampakun. It was Tampa's turn at bat. Come on, Tampa senpai. This time be sure to get a hit, and don't push yourself. It will affect your pitching performance. Tampa stepped into the strike zone. In fact, he knew in his heart that his friends must think that he could not hit. Compared with their monster-like batters, Tampa put too much energy into practice pitching and didn't put much effort into batting. At this point, Tampa doesn't mind what his friends think. He just wants to play a little more baseball. Want to taste the sweet victory. I don't want to waste the 3 years of hard work I have dedicated to baseball. All of this is for the sake of bringing Sidu High School onto that stage. We must go to Koshien. In the rest area of Sidu High School, Kuramochi quickly realized that something was wrong with Tampa. Tampa senpai is really serious about this. Not only pitching, but also batting, Tampa wanted to do his best. Only Miyuki was not very happy with this. He prefers that Tampa concentrate his energy on pitching right now. Even if he is struck out, it doesn't matter. No matter how hard Tampa works. In fact, his swings are completely incomparable to Sawamura and Furuya. Especially compared with his direct competitor Sawamura. Tampa's swing is not even worthy of Sawamura's shoes. Sawamura was so strong that Kataoka would assign him to the core lineup directly, and he would rather keep him in the outfielder position instead of leaving the field. His attack is very valuable even for Sita High School, which is powerful in attacking strength. On the other side on the mound, Shihoka's pitcher looked at the huge score gap on the field. 15:0. Since entering high school, this is the first time they have been beaten so badly. Damn. He gritted his teeth hard. In the third year of high school, they also trained hard all the time. How many times have the sweat soaked their clothes? How much suffering and fatigue have they felt? However, in a real game, they're still not qualified to play against Sidu. 15:0. What an ironic number. Here, the gap between the two teams can be said to be clear at a glance. Why? Why is this happening? Where's the gap between us and these guys? He doesn't understand. We are also a famous school. What is the difference? Damn it all. At a time like this, daily hard training has an effect. Even if the gap was so big that it would make anyone desperate, the players from Shihoka High School did not give up, and the pitcher threw the ball resolutely. It's just because he is in a trance now and forgot to wipe the sweat on his fingers with a rosin bag. The ball slipped out. The small white ball flew straight to the batter in the strike zone. Done. Suddenly, the whole world darkened. Fuck. The small white ball hit Tampa's side firmly. Tampa fell to the ground, and the game was suspended. What's happened? The coach and players from Sido High School rushed to the strike zone. Sawamura's face was so ugly like he was dying. Could it be that the accident happened now? In his memories, there is a memory of Tampa's injury. This incident had a huge impact on Sawamura's entire life trajectory. However, because Tampa was not Sawamura's closest friend, he couldn't remember the exact time. More than 10 years later, Sawamura didn't even remember which team was playing against Sidu at that time. Sita High School has practice games almost every week. He can't always remind him every time Tampa plays and tell him to pay attention to a dead ball, right? Therefore, despite anticipating that there may be accidents, Sawamura can only hope that under the butterfly effect of his return, he can change all of this. But it happened. It still happened. Just like the injury of Chris, Sawamura has tried his best to stop it all the time. However, Chris is still injured. At that time, Sawamura blamed himself a lot for his poor memory. If he had a better memory, perhaps the mitt he sent for Kuramochi to not give up baseball would have arrived earlier. If he had a better memory and remembered which game Tampa was injured, maybe there would have been many ways he could change the result. Unfortunately, he doesn't have such a good memory. Even if he lived a new life, Sawamura would still be that ordinary person with an average memory. How about it? The arm is a bit swollen. It shouldn't be a big problem. Just rest for 2 days should be fine. But for the time being, he can't continue to participate in the game. Fortunately, because Sido High School was stronger than in the previous life, the pitcher of Shihoku High School had exhausted most of his physical strength. His pitching was not as powerful as it should be. It still happened, but it turned out to be 2 different results. That's it for today. Have a nice day. 188, Chapter 64, A Skillful Chief. There is barely a month before the start of the summer competition. In the practice game, you smashed the opponent's ace pitcher with a dead ball in his throwing arm. Although it seemed that was not a big injury, the coach of Shihoka High School was still ashamed. The round-robin practice matches. For Inashiro and Sidu, it was a useless thing. There is nothing to earn or learn, but it was a pity to abandon it. The reason why it is still held is mainly to help the rising Shihoku High School. This friendship between the 3 schools has been maintained for many years. Shihoka High School has always been the object of care. People have been taking care of you, and you have injured their ace. Although it was not intentional, it will leave a bad taste. Coach Kataoka, the coach of Shihoka High School, looked at Kataoka with a look of shame. It was just an accident. Takashima Ray took Tampa to the hospital for a checkup. After all, the preliminary judgment result is only a preliminary judgment result, and it depends on the professional doctor. On the baseball field, any accident is possible. The players also play with this kind of awareness. Let's continue the game. Kataoka stopped the apology from the superintendent of Shohoku High School. Judging from his experience, Tampa's injury is not very bad. Although he fell down when he was hit, after standing up, Tampa was still alive and kicking and wanted to continue the game. It's just that his arm was obviously swollen, and the coaching staff of Seto High School naturally couldn't let him be willful, so he was immediately sent to the hospital for examination. Seto High School changed runners, and Sawamura Eijun came to the field. Furuya Satoru and Kawakami have already played in the game with Inashiro just now. Kawakami pitched 7 innings, and his stamina has long since dried up. Not to mention Furuya Satoru. Although he has physical strength, Kataoka will never let Furuya play at a time like this. How amazing was Furuya Satoru's performance before? It must have attracted the attention of Inashiro. Since they want to pay attention, let them pay attention to him. What if they play at a time like this, and the weaknesses are exposed? No forkballs and no magic balls, you understand? Before Sawamura came on stage, Superintendent Kataoka was specially warned. Some things have to be said in advance. He didn't want what happened with Inashiro to happen to them. You have to say that it was a big failure that Narumiya May exposed his changeup in front of Seto in advance. As the first imaginary enemy of Seto High School, Seto must hone their tactics against Inashiro. Moreover, in this tactic, how to overcome Narumiya May is the top priority. Before the two teams fight, if Narumiya had never used a changeup, it would definitely hit Seto very hard, and Seto High School would have been caught off guard. For example, if Seto's lineup exploded with all their strength, they could score 3 points from the original Narumiya May. Now Narumiya has mastered the changeup, and if used well, that can drop to a point. As for Seto, after learning about Narumiya May's changeup, they will definitely formulate a corresponding strategy. If this strategy is unsuccessful, that's all. If it is successful, they can even score 2 points or even recover to 3 points. This is the power of intelligence. Originally, Kataoka was very assured with Sawamura. Nevertheless, after watching his interaction with Narumiya today, Kataoka suddenly felt uneasy. From Narumiya's point of view, of course, he wanted to show that kind of king's pride. You know about my changeup? So what? I will still beat you in the game. Narumiya May has such confidence. Narumiya has such confidence, and Sawamura doesn't. He is known as the Demon King, and he has always crushed everyone and everything with his powerful strength. Since Narumiya has shown off and irritated them like this, how can Sawamura not fight back? If Tampa wasn't injured, Kataoka would never give Sawamura a chance to play. It's different now. Since Sawamura had to play, Kataoka had to give some instructions. Why did Kataoka let Sawamura retain his strength? Isn't it just a deal with Inashiro in front of their number 1 enemy? How could let the secret weapon be exposed in advance? Yes, Sawamura nodded. He played in place of Tampa. Tampa went to first base because of the dead ball. He also stood on first base. Shiratsu was pushed into second base. Shohoku's ace pitcher had been replaced. Not to mention his physical strength, even his focus was a little blurry. Continuing to deal with Inashiro and Seto, even if the boy's physical strength is good, he can't hold it. After Shohoku High School changed to a new pitcher, the effect was still good. They only conceded 3 points in the inning, and they held it together. Of course, this also has nothing to do with Seto High School's change of attack strategy. The current Seto High School attack is no longer the kind of aimless free play that it used to be. They changed their tactical attack, even at the risk of playing bunts. In the past, the bunt walk was to ensure the score, but the current bunt walk is more like sending outs to Shohoku. At the end of the 7th inning, Seto High School led the score by 17 points. The first half of the 8th inning, Sawamura threw the ball almost lazily. The speed of the ball is not fast, and the course is not tricky. The batters of Shohoku can't help but swing at such a ball. Ping! After the white ball was hit, it kept flying to the field. Isashiki and Shiratsu caught them one by one, directly shutting the batters out of the game. The last one hit an infield grounder that landed in Sawamura's mitt. With 3 balls, Sawamura scored 3 outs very smoothly. This bad luck. I just thought I could get a hit. The batters from Shahoka High School were very active and eager to swing. For them, compared to Tampa's tricky breaking balls and sharp straight balls, Sawamura's ball is not difficult to hit. On the other side, with the team of Inashiro, all the players looked at Sawamura on the pitcher's mound without saying a word. They were upset by Sawamura's performance. Fishing balls are no stranger to a qualified player, either hit or strike. This kind of situation of deliberately seducing the batter to swing the bat and relying on the defense to get the number of outs is often encountered a lot. This is because they understand that Sawamura's performance makes them even more incredible. He even used 3 consecutive fishing balls to win the inning. What does this look like? For example, it is not a skill to make delicious food out of good ingredients. However, a really skillful chef can make a plate of French fries as delicious as a steak. Sawamura's fishing balls have such a taste. The first chapter, 189, Chapter 65, the demonic change-up. The last 2 innings of the practice match between Seto High School and Shahoku High School progressed very fast. Now, Shahoka High School had completely given up resistance. Even if their superintendent realized that Miyuki and Sawamura were using fishing balls to seduce their batters to swing, he didn't take the initiative to give his players any plans. To be honest, he feels too ashamed in this game. Not just losing the game, but also losing their pride. It would be better to end this game sooner rather than later. One side has no fighting spirit at all, and the other side is a freshman who has just played. Under such a situation, Seto High School wanted to get the number of eliminations easily. In the face of an opponent who has almost no will to resist, Seto High School's lineup didn't continue to push further. In the 8th inning, they only scored 6 points, and it was over. And this isn't pushing. Don't think that score is not small. This is really the result of Seto High School's mercy. Shahoku's pitiful appearance while being slaughtered by them made the batters at Seto High School unable to get motivated much. When the 9th inning came, the players from Shahoka High School recovered a little bit of energy. They know that this game is their last chance to attack. They are now 23 points behind. It is impossible to reverse in this game. Even if all the players at Seto High School gave up their defense, they wouldn't necessarily hit that many hits. At this point, they just need to focus on attacking. 1 point, even 1 point is fine. This is all for Shahoka High School to talk about this game in the future. To be honest, their ambition is really not high. However, unfortunately, Miyuki and Sawamura have no plans of helping them. They struck out both batters with ease. Moreover, they didn't use any breaking ball against these 2 batters, just ordinary straight balls and good ball control. In the face of Sawamura's ordinary straight ball, the batter of Shahoka High School was helpless. 2 outs in the first half of the 9 innings. 1 last out remaining for Seto High School to finish the game. Now, it was the turn of the 4th batter of Shahoku High School. There was still stubbornness in his eyes, and it looked like he wanted to get a hit. On the other side, the players from Inashiro had already started to pack their bags and were about to leave. To be honest, when Sawamura just came on the field, the players of Inashiro were still very excited. They thought it was a good opportunity to scout Sawamura's strengths. However, the result, of course, is very regrettable. Sawamura didn't even throw a single breaking ball. He just settled the battle with normal fishing balls and straight balls. In this case, they naturally have no way to spy on Sawamura's pitching strength. Strong, this is for sure. Even if they don't watch Sawamura's game, just by listening to Sawamura's previous deeds and fame, they know that Sawamura must be very strong. Other than that, watching Sawamura's pitching doesn't show anything at all. The strength of Shahoka High School was simply not enough to force Sawamura's strength out. Let's go. Just as they waited for the game to end, to greet the people from Seto High School, and then leave. The atmosphere on the field suddenly changed. I want to pitch. Sawamura's determination was very firm. Narumiya irritated them before. If he didn't fight back, wouldn't he think that Sawamura was afraid of him? In the face of the stubbornness of the pitcher, the catcher is actually very helpless. At a time like this, if Chris is the catcher, then Chris will definitely let Sawamura know why the flowers are so red. Sawamura is his deshi student, although this is what Sawamura himself said. However, The relationship between the two is obviously much closer than the average senpai and kohai. Chris treats Sawamura as his kohai. If his kohai is disobedient, what should he do as a senpai? Of course, beat him to submission. If he doesn't accept it, continue to beat him until you are satisfied. Right now, it is meaningless to show the breaking ball in front of Inashiro players. Apart from making the other party more vigilant, it is impossible to have any effect at all. Chris would never let Sawamura do such useless work. However, Miyuki is not Chris. His relationship with Sawamura was a partnership, not a senpai and kohai. Therefore, when he looked at Sawamura, he couldn't look at an unruly kohai, but at a pitcher. When the pitcher wants to show that he is not weaker than the opponent, what should the catcher do? Of course, help him. As for whether Inashiro will be more afraid of Sawamura because of this, or whether it will develop any strategies against Sawamura, these things can be ignored for now. Sawamura and Narumiya are not the kind of pitchers that you can deal with because of some leaked information. At least, they themselves think so. To put it bluntly, they're level. Even if you're told what kind of ball they're going to throw next, you may not be able to hit it. That's why they dare to show their pitches in front of the enemy. Of course, this is not the main thing. The most important thing is that the ball that Sawamura wants to play now is not a ball that is not prohibited by Superintendent Kataoka. In other words, the secret weapons left to fight Inashiro can be used until the fight with Inashiro. Come on then. Without the slightest hint of advice, Miyuki opened his mitt and motioned for Sawamura to throw the ball. Whoosh! Without hesitation, Sawamura threw a changeup. Shihoko High School's fourth batter didn't swing at the first ball and watched Sawamura's pitch slip into Miyuki's mitt. Snap! Strike! Seeing that Sawamura suddenly threw a changeup, the players of Inashiro, who had been unconcerned, also changed their faces. Of course, they know that the changeup is thrown when there is no need to. Of course, Sawamura's real intention is not to deal with the batter of Shihoko High School, but to reply to the previous pitch of Narumiya. It's just that your changeup is too ordinary, isn't it? Such a changeup, you are too embarrassed to show it off to Narumiya. Stinky boy, I'm still more awesome. Narumiya looked at Sawamura with his arms crossed. Of course, he knew that Sawamura couldn't just be pulled down like this. Whoosh! Without allowing the people on the field to think too much, Sawamura's second pitch came. This ball is exactly the same as the first ball, a changeup. Shihoko High School's fourth batter's face flushed. Don't underestimate me. Sawamura's ordinary straight ball. Under the wall-making form, the Shihoko High School's fourth batter really can't wait for the ball to be at hand before swinging the bat. However, Sawamura's changeup ball is only about 120 kilometers per hour. At such a ball speed, he can completely wait for the ball to enter his hand before swinging. As long as he is sure that Sawamura's pitch is a changeup, then it's not a problem to hit it out at all. It's now. The ball comes into the plate, and the batter swings the bat decisively. However, the bat moved past the small white ball, and no one touched the other. Snap! Strike! At this moment, the whole place was silent. In the rest area of Seidu High School, Kataoka instantly burst into anger. These two little bastards have secretly developed a new pitch. The second chapter, 190, Chapter 66. Alone in the cold, the batter aimed at the changeup, and he actually missed the ball. This result made all the players of Inashiro look stupefied. Any ball path has its flaws. For some great batters, if they know what the pitcher is going to throw, they don't dare to say it is 100%. They have at least 80 to 90% certainty to hit the ball. In the major leagues, it is not uncommon for a pitcher to be taught about the harshness of the world by a batter every now and then. Theoretically speaking, the pitcher does not have the advantage in the process of a pitcher versus a batter. After all, your ball has been thrown for more than 10 meters, and the bat in the batter's hand is always held in the batter's hand. Even if it is some tricky breaking ball, if the batter was aiming at it, the probability of the batter hitting it is very high. This is also the strategy of the average batter. After analyzing the pitcher's profile, they will deliberately aim for a ball to swing at. Inside corner or the outside corner. Straight ball or a breaking ball. Among them, once it is aimed at, the almost certain ball to be hit is the changeup. Losing the speed and power of the ball, a changeup that wins by simply break in timing, once it is aimed at, it is difficult not to be hit. Of course, that's not to say that changeups aren't useful. On the contrary, in terms of its sharpness, the changeup ball is no weaker than the other breaking balls. Nevertheless, just the power of the changeup is not enough. You also need a sharp enough straight ball to support it. Only when confused with the straight ball, the changeup ball can exert its greatest power. However, the batter just now was clearly aiming for the changeup, but Sawamura's changeup was not hit. Not even to mention the hit, the batter's swing was still in vain. Aiming at the changeup, the batter can still miss the swing. This is not easy, it is simply incredible. The players from Inashiro Industrial High School looked at Sawamura as if looking at an unknown, terrifying creature. The rest area of Seto High School. Through those dark sunglasses, no one could see Kataoka's eyes clearly. Nevertheless, Miyuki could clearly feel the anger-filled gaze of Coach Kataoka. So scary, of course, he knew why Kataoka was angry. But he couldn't care less at a time like this. The arrow has left the bow. Come on, show the last ball. It is conceivable that after the first game, he and Sawamura will inevitably be grilled for dinner. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Miyuki kept hypnotizing himself. All of this was Sawamura's own selfishness and had nothing to do with him. What can he say as the catcher if Sawamura wants to pitch? Thinking like this, Miyuki convinced himself. He glanced at Sawamura on the pitcher mound with sympathy and unswervingly signaled. The next ball. Sawamura's changeup. Once you see it, you will never understand what's going on. On the pitcher's mound, Sawamura nodded slightly. He didn't know that his partner had already figured out the excuse to slip out of responsibility and put the blame on him. In Sawamura's eyes right now, Miyuki was still very reliable. He relaxes all over and then swings his arms at full strength. Now, if Sawamura throws a straight ball, the batter will definitely not find the timing. However, he didn't do that. He still threw a changeup. Changeup, 3 changeups in a row. The speed of the ball is all about 120 kilometers per hour. Such a pitch calling is equivalent to committing suicide, not to mention that the batter is aiming for the changeup. Even if you're used to it without aiming, this fast batter can easily find the swing rhythm. Let's go. The batter couldn't describe the nervousness in his heart. He clearly watched the ball coming, and he knew that he should swing. However, Sawamura's pitch just now kept appearing in his mind. Can I really hit at such a ball? He didn't know the answer, but he had been forced into the corner and could only swing the bat. Exactly the same thing happened again. The small white ball seemed to be enchanted, and it moved abruptly when the bat was swung. In a moment, it neatly avoided the bat. The batter's bat moved past the white ball. Snap! Strike batter out. It is no longer pitching. Sawamura simply put on a magic show. Don't talk about the changeup. If you throw a changeup for 3 consecutive balls, it is no longer a changeup because there is no difference in ball speed. When such pitches come in a row with the same ball speed, then Sawamura even used a 120 kilometers per hour pitch to strike out Shohoku High School's 4th batter. This practice match is over. With a huge score of 23-0, Seto High School bloodbath, Shohoku High School, and finally avenged the injured Tampa. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. After the team scattered, everyone first gathered their equipment. When Sawamura and Miyuki returned to the rest area, they saw Kataoka's cold face. I have warned you before that, except for the forkball, don't hone any other pitches for the time being. When Miyuki and Sawamura just finished, they were very proud to see the pale faces of their friends from Inashiro. The players around them also praised them a lot. That's how it should be. Since the other party is challenging them, they would fight back fiercely. Therefore, when they just came off the field, Kuramochi and Ryosuke were very happy. Hiya, that's how it should be. The boy is sure promising. Not only them, Isashiki, Masuko, including the captain, Tetsuya, all come forward to celebrate. Players and supervisors have different perspectives. For supervisors, they must preserve their strength right now, because Koshien is the most important. However, for the players, there is no reason not to fight back when they are being challenged at their home. If there were no excitement at all, why would they play baseball? Therefore, almost all the players of Seto High School have supported Sawamura's doing. It's just that when Kataoka asked, the seniors who had been enthusiastically cheering for Sawamura just now disappeared suddenly. Where did all these people go? Sawamura turned around in surprise and saw that his seniors were all busy packing their bags and bats. No one looked over here. Friendships are gone just like this. It's more helpful for you to sharpen the weapon you already have in your hand than to hone more breaking balls. Didn't I warn you before? Chris frowned and looked at Sawamura. He has also been training with Sawamura, knowing that Sawamura is practicing this kind of breaking ball. However, he told Sawamura directly then it was not the time for him to practice this kind of breaking ball. You need to know that you can't bite more than you can chew. For a pitcher with a lot of breaking balls, the most critical thing is the touch of the fingers. The slightest difference in feeling can cause you to throw a different pitch today than you did yesterday. 191. Chapter 67. Bunny Ball Karaoke and Chris had bad faces while looking at Sawamura. Sawamura wanted to refute, but considering the consequences of the refutation, he kept silent. In addition to baseball, Sawamura is a person who is good at reading the mood. Does the ball just now have a name? Bunny Ball. Miyuki spoke up. As soon as Miyuki spoke, he regretted it. He wanted to beat himself. This had nothing to do with him. This answer was equivalent to asking for trouble. Karaoke nodded silently, and then suddenly asked Sawamura calmly, "The reason why you want to hone the new breaking ball and ignored my warnings. As the ace of the team, did you feel that you need to become stronger?" His tone was not severe, as if he was chatting at home. Miyuki and Chris immediately became nervous after hearing this question. This should be the last test to whether Sawamura can get the number 1 back number or not. Karaoke has always taken the overall interest of the team as the starting point, especially when choosing the ace. Although he has the heart to hand over the number 1 jersey to Sawamura, Sawamura has to be able to carry it on his back. Miyuki and Chris could understand that. And Sawamura, who had worked under Karaoke for 3 years in his previous life and had more than 10 years of baseball experience, couldn't understand it. He not only understood it, but also noticed the hidden trap of Karaoke. Karaoke's words gave 2 options. One is to him not caring about his orders, and the other is to feel that his strength is insufficient. On the surface, the answer is, of course, the second one. Otherwise, you are telling Karaoke directly that you are taking his words on deaf ears. However, Sawamura knew that if he chose the second one, he might not be able to wear the number 1 back this summer. I felt like I needed to get stronger. It also means that the position of the ace puts a lot of pressure on him. Karaoke, who is tough on the outside but soft on the inside, would definitely think so. If he thinks so, in order to not put more pressure on him, he will definitely give his number to Tampa. This will make it easier for you to concentrate on pitching. Don't talk about the experience of Sawamura in middle school. Karaoke only believes what he sees and doesn't care about Sawamura's achievements in middle school. This is the coach of Sidu High School, Karaoke Teshin. Taking a deep breath, Sawamura felt fine beads of sweat on his palms. This is the first time in a while that he has been so nervous, and this is the last step in his challenge to the ace. If he can take the ace number, he can justifiably lead Sidu forward. Neither of the two, Sawamura said seriously. In the past few months, I have been honing the forkball, and now it can be used as a weapon. With the cards in my hand right now, I am confident enough to cope with the various situations that may be encountered in the summer. When I used the bunny ball that has not been honed enough just now was a bit of a gamble, but I did it because I just don't want to lose to anyone. If I faced the provocation of Narumiya and didn't respond, when I face Inashiro and Narumiya later, I may feel less than him. Sawamura's answer was not clever. In short, it was just a battle between children's will. However, Karaoke did not dislike such a simple answer. Very good. Karaoke nodded. With this in mind, be prepared for the summer games. The 3 practice games are over, and Sidu's practice today is also over. The people from Inashiro said goodbye to the people from Sidu and prepared to leave. How'd you throw the ball just now? I didn't expect you to keep such a card in hand. We was about to say goodbye. Narumiya asked Sawamura in high spirits. Obviously, he was very interested in the kind of pitch that Sawamura had just made. You thought we would tell you that we are opponents. Miyuki smiled brightly. Narumiya, Mei said angrily, I don't want you to say it. I don't want to know yet. However, you have to be careful, Kanzuya. Chris Senpai is recovering, and your position is at risk. Don't become a substitute by the time of the game. and leave it to this kid to remind you. Yesterday, Miyuki was indeed slightly better than Chris in understanding what the coach's intentions were. However, in today's competition to lead Tampa, he lost the advantage of winning. It's really hard to say who will get the position. However, judging from the coach's personality, he would still choose him. The next fight will be the summer competition. Be ready, Shonen. Narumiya ignored Miyuki, who was lost in thought, and turned his head to talk to Sawamura. Sawamura nodded at Narumiya. Yes, I will do my best. Next time, we will win. Today, they lost the practice game with Sidhu, and May has been a little angry. No, it's still us. It's us. No, us. The two started bickering again. Let's go, May. Ahead, suddenly came the voice of Arata. Narumiya agreed, then turned around and left. When he was waiting to exit the gate of Sidhu, Narumiya May turned his head and glanced at Sidhu's baseball field. How strange. When he graduated from middle school, he clearly didn't think about the possibility of coming to Sidhu. However, he didn't know why, but he felt that Sidhu might have something he needed. This kind of small emotion made May very upset, and he shook his head to put this thought aside. He never regretted joining Inashiro. It is precisely because he joined Inashiro that he has the current strength. The next time they fight, he will win, whether it is against Sidhu or against Sawamura. Watching the players from Inashiro and Shihoka leave, Sidhu's first string rushed to the hospital. Until now, Tampa has not come back, which makes them very worried. In the hospital ward, Tampa sat leisurely, looking bored. When they saw him like this, they felt a bit angry. How's the game going? After Tampa saw his teammates, the first question was this. 23:0. We can't let your pitching go in vain. Isashiki replied with a smile. Tampa laughed along with it. That's good. What about you? What did the doctor say? It will take about 3 days to reduce swelling. After 3 days, I can participate in training slowly, and it will take about a week to heal. Thank goodness. This result is pretty much what everyone expected. When he didn't come back, everyone thought that his condition was not good. In a blink, a week has passed. Tampa returned to the team, trained with the team, and performed very steadily. That afternoon, Kataoka suddenly called Tampa to his office and then called everyone together in the evening. Finally, this day has come. The back number of the Sidhu players have been finalized. 192, Chapter 68, jersey number. The summer sun goes down very late. It was already after 6 o'clock in the evening, but the afterglow of the sun had not completely set. Under the sunset light, the 100 members of the baseball club of Sidhu High School stood in neat lines. Opposite them, Superintendent Kataoka, President Oda, and Deputy President Takashima stood in a row. Kataoka holds the summer back numbers in his hand. The members for the team this summer have been determined, so I don't think our team's back numbers can be delayed any longer. Kataoka said, and swept across the faces of all the players of Sidhu High School in turn. To be honest, I hesitated to make this decision. However, he proved himself with his strength. We are a team aiming to dominate the nation, so I believe my decision is not wrong. I intend to give the Ace's back number to Sawamura. I have discussed it with Tampa before, and he told me that he will be fully prepared and ready to board the pitcher's mound at any time. Kawakami, Furuya, if the situation is necessary or the situation allows, I will also let you play. The four named pitching squad members have their own thoughts. Sawamura's hand clenched tightly. It was finally time for him to put on Sidhu's ace number. I will work hard. Even if they no longer want to climb, I have to drag Sidhu and climb to the top. This is the oath of Sawamura's life. Number 1, Sawamura Eijun. Kataoka took out the number 1 back number and gave it to Sawamura. Yes, Sawamura took the number with trembling hands. Don't be nervous. Trust your teammates behind you. They all trust you and are willing to guard behind you. After hearing Kataoka's words, Sawamura turned around and saw the seniors in the front row of the team. Yuki Tetsuya, Kaminato Ryosuke, Isashiki Jun, Masuko Toru, Kuromochi Yuichi, Miyuki Kinzuya. Chrysua's hands are no longer trembling, and Sawamura's eyes calmed down. Yes, he is not the only one who wants to lead Sidhu to the top of the nation, but also these reliable seniors and teammates. The more the merrier. The current Sidhu is not comparable to the previous Sidhu. After the ace was determined, it was time for number 2. Number 1 has long been without any disagreement, and everyone actually knows it. But number 2 is different. Seedu's number 2 can be said to be the most suspenseful position. Number 2, Takigawa Krisyu. Kataoka's voice was calm. Chris looked at Kataoka in amazement. Obviously, this result was something he didn't expect. Miyuki looked annoyed. Chris. Sure show. Go get it. I can't wait to partner with you. Chris didn't take the number immediately, but looked at Kataoka hesitantly. Is it really okay? When he and Miyuki were competing for the number, they were almost at the same level of performance. If Tampa is ace, then Chris might still have a chance. But the ace is Sawamura, and Chris's chances are actually not great. After all, he has just recovered from his injury for 3 months. This is a big hazard. Unless his performance is way more eye-catching than Miyuki's, it is impossible for him to pull Miyuki down from his main position. It's okay. That's what Miyuki wants, Kataoka said in a low voice. He asked me to ignore your injury and evaluate the two of you purely based on performance. With Sawamura, you're equally divided, but with Tampa, you are obviously better. In the summer, Sawamura and Tampa are the main forces in the competition. In this respect, you are indeed more suitable than Miyuki. Kataoka's voice was not loud, but everyone could hear it clearly. Unexpectedly, Miyuki, who is usually black-bellied, has such a bright side. Miyuki also promises that he will act as a substitute and will play with complete preparation at any time. With 2 excellent catchers under him at the same time, Kataoka had a headache for a while. Miyuki taking a step back was a big help to Kataoka. Of course, he would agree to make Chris a catcher. It's also because Chris has really shown the strength to be the main catcher. Moreover, Miyuki also mentioned an irresistible reason. Chris Senpai has signed a contract with a minor league team. If he can't play for the team, it will be a huge obstacle to Chris Senpai's future career. What about you? Of course, Kataoka knew the news, but he didn't follow Miyuki's train of thought. Instead, he stared at Miyuki seriously. I still have 1 year of opportunity, and I haven't given up fighting for the main force. I just ask you to not consider the factors of Chris Senpai's injury. I want to compete with Senpai for the position of the main catcher in an upright manner. Even if I am not chosen, I will be fully prepared, waiting to pull Chris Senpai from the position of the main catcher at any time. After Kataoka weighed, he gave Chris the main position, although he actually trusts Miyuki more in his heart. After all, over the past year, Miyuki was the core of the defense of Seidu. However, Chris's performance during this period was indeed no worse than Miyuki's. The main force can be given to anyone. Yes, I will do my best. Facing Miyuki's kindness, Chris did not shirk. Getting the number 2 back number doesn't mean that Chris will be able to secure the position of the main catcher. He still needs to work harder, and he believes that Miyuki will not give up the fight that easily. Sawamura held the number 1 jersey and looked at Miyuki blankly. To be honest, he really didn't expect Miyuki to have such mature thinking. If he cares about the overall situation like Miyuki, he should actually give his number to Tampa. However, Sawamura was unwilling to do so from the bottom of his heart. He didn't force himself to do it. He really didn't want to. His number was not obtained by tricks, but was won by his own strength. Holding the number tightly in his hand, the expression on Sawamura's face became firmer. The back number that was as light as anything in his hand also became heavier. He also remembered that it was also heavy when he got it for the first time, and sadly the only time ever. This is the ace. After the announcement of number 1 and number 2, there is nothing to say about the rest. Number 3, Yuki Tetsuya. Yes, the captain is still the main first baseman. Number 4, Kaminato Ryosuke. Yes, Kaminato Ryosuke defeated his little brother and kept his main position. After getting the number, he glanced at the Kaminato Haruchi behind him. That means as if to say, you're still a long way off. Number 5, Masuko Toru. Yuga. Number 6, Kuromochi Yoichi. Number 7, Sakai Ichiro. Yes. Number 8, Isashiki Jun. Yes. Number 9, Shiratsu Kenjiro. Yes. This is Seidu High School, the new main force of 9. Then came the bench. Number 10, Tampa Koichiro. This is nothing to say. As a backup ace, his number must be closely behind the main force. Yes, Tampa Koichiro said seriously. Superintendent Kataoka had specifically talked to him before, and he was not surprised by the result. Sidu, who aims to dominate the whole country, will definitely choose the stronger side. Keep it up. You are your ace of the third year. Don't lose to Sawamura. Yes, Tampa agreed loudly. Number 11, Kawakami Norifumi. Yes. Number 12, Miyuki Kinzuya. Miyuki was replaced by Chris and could only be ranked number 12 after entering Sidu. This was the first time he wore a two-digit number. It's amazing. Miyuki felt this way when he was looking at Kataoka. Watching the game from the bench is really a novel feeling for him. Chris Senpai is Chris Senpai. After only 3 months of recovery, his performance has caught up with me. However, I will not give up. Before Koshien, you'll be dragged down from your main position. Number 13, Kadota Masaki. Yes. Number 14, Kusunoki Fumiya. Yes. Number 15, Higasa Shuji. Shushu. Number 16, Tanaka Shin. Yes. Number 17, Indu Naoki. Yes. Number 18, Furuya Satoru. Yes. Furuya Satoru's position was adjusted to number 18. This number was very mysterious, indicating that even if he entered Koshien, Supervisor Kataoka planned to take him with him. Number 19, Maiachi Keisuke. Maiachi was selected in the main force as a substitute. Yes, from the nose, 2 lines of gas spewed out, showing the extraordinary fighting spirit of Maiachi. Number 20, Kaminato Haruchi. The last place was given to Kaminato Haruchi, one of the 3 second string. The 2 brothers have finally entered the big list. Yamazaki and Kuwata have been dropped from the original 20, and only Mizono, who participated in the joint training, returned to the second string. He will be in the second string to meet the new coach. We finally reached this point. 193. Chapter 69. Okiai's new career. Okiai Hiramitsu is not a very emotional person. Leaving the high school baseball team, where he used to work, he only took a short break for a while and was ready to find another team. Although his mind has not completely calmed down from the previous distress, but this is life, and he had to bow down to get food on the table. There is still a 4-year-old daughter to support at home, and the house also needs to support no matter what he feels in his heart. People always have to continue to live. Although more than 10 years of work has given him some savings, the money will always run out one day. So he had to find a new job, a job that would support him, take care of his daughter, and take care of his family. It's just that Kanagawa is really not a big place. In addition to Sagara Kokai, the team where he originally worked first, the rest of the Giants are not short of people. There were only 3 offers in total, which met his expectations. One is an invitation to be the coach for a normal high school. The other is a job as a normal coach at a famous high school in Kanagawa Prefecture. Compared with his former job, these 2 are simply scum. The salary and treatment are very different, but the 2 share a common advantage. That is, he can take care of his family and his daughter, who has just started school, without leaving Kanagawa. Next is the last one, an invitation that is very unreliable in his opinion. This is what it looked like to him when the dean of their school came to talk about it in person, and he was very hesitant with his words during the talk. The general meaning is that he hopes that Okiai can work at Sita High School. Sita High School is a famous school. The feature of the famous school is that they are not lacking in money, and the salary is very generous. This salary is 1.5 times his former salary, and it is even mentioned in the contract that if he can serve as the head coach in Sidu, the salary will be doubled again. Okiai felt that the invitation was unreliable because of the additional clause mentioned in the contract. For the clause of the contract, if he wants to be promoted as the superintendent, 2 conditions must be met. First, this summer, Sita High School was not able to enter Koshien. The second is that the current coach of Sita High School must submit his resignation voluntarily. Okiai can understand the first condition. He is not ignorant of Sita High School. They did not get into Koshien for 5 consecutive years. With the background of Sita High School, they would not allow that to continue, and their administrators continue to stay in their posts. To be honest, Oki thinks that it is a miracle that the coach of Sido High School has not been replaced for 6 years in a row. 1 year, you can say the competition is too fierce. 2 years, you can say bad luck. You must know that 2 years means 4 chances, 5 years means 10 chances to go to Koshien. And you have the resources of a famous school, and you have not entered the Koshien for 5 consecutive years, then that is a problem of ability. Since there is a problem with the ability, it is natural to discuss the replacement. The question arises in the second additional condition. What do they mean by voluntary? What kind of person can gain the trust and support of Sido High School to this extent? Oki is not a novice who has just entered the workplace. He knows all kinds of office politics clearly. Like the current superintendent of Sido High School, he must have an irreplaceable position and relationship in the school. If he replaces such a person as the superintendent of Sido High School, can he really do well? And will Sido High School really give him so much trust and such a long time as well? To be honest, this is a huge opportunity and challenge for Oki himself. If he can go further, he will go further. If not, at his current age, the road ahead will be very difficult. Is it necessary to take such a risk? Oki hesitated. It is precisely for this reason that he has not given Sido High School a final answer. Time will be the most powerful weapon, and he wants to hold off until the end of this summer competition. The real situation can only be seen in desperation. Since this summer competition is the last chance the school will give to Sido's superintendent, then he might as well take a look at this opportunity and see Sido's reaction. To be honest, Oki, who has been the second in command for more than 10 years, is very eager to take charge of a team by himself. Of course, this team had better be a giant. After all, he still has a family. This is also the reason why he has not decided on his next employer. It has been very strange recently, and the dean of Sido High School was even reluctant when he talked to him. It seems that their needs are not as urgent as they were at first. Confused, Oki checked the latest information from Sido High School. Under the leadership of their coach, Kataoka, Sido High School won the Kano Championship and was in full swing. In this situation, it is no wonder that Sido High School no longer contacted him. They have always had special feelings for Kataoka, the current coach of Sido High School. It was also at a time like this that Oki learned that Kataoka graduated from Sido High School. After graduating from college, he stayed directly to teach at Sido High School and refused the invitation to professional baseball. When he was a student, he was known as the Steel-Hard Ace. He once led Sido and was the runner-up of Koshien in the past. To put it bluntly, Kataoka is Sido's son. He was trained by Sido High School and chose to stay in Sido. Loyalty is a very important quality in the Eastern countries. It's no wonder that Sido High School is so supportive of Kataoka. Oki is not stupid either. It is really unwise to go to Sido High School and fight for power and profit with such a person. He also gave up on the idea and was going to choose one of the 2 scum choices. Although he is not happy, at a time like this, is the only way for him. Just when he was about to accept the invitation, Sido High School, who had become quiet lately, began to contact him again. But this time, the conditions were completely different from the previous ones. Obviously, Sido High School has absolute confidence that they can enter Koshien. Even if it doesn't work this time, it will be in the next 1 or 2 sessions. Sido High School will definitely enter Koshien. They have regained their confidence in Kataoka, and at the same time, they have confidence in the ace who is now leading the players of Sido High School. We hope that you can serve as the deputy coach of Sido High School and physical education teacher at Sido High School. Coach Kataoka, although he has a good talent, his years as a coach are still short after all. Besides, he was born to be a player, so he can connect perfectly with his players. Nevertheless, there are also differences in the people who are talented and experts in training. We hope that you and Superintendent Kataoka will complement each other well. The invitation is very serious and the attitude is very sincere. But Oki didn't even think about it and directly refused. He resigned from the original school, not to continue to be a deputy. And thinking of the ruthlessness of the school before, he also had a little bit of resistance to the Giants themselves. For Oki's refusal, Sido's sharp dean didn't care. He just grinned and said the additional clause. I should also mention that the remuneration has been increased by 50% from the previous offer. We believe that you have the skills to serve as a coach in a famous high school, so naturally you have to pay the corresponding remuneration. Also, the contract duration will be 20 years. A surprise, right? Anyway, thank you all for reading and have a nice day. 194, Chapter 70. The new coach in office, all right. The developments of life are like choosing a road at a crossroads. You can take the road of ideals. You can take the road of dreams, however, for a man who is getting older and has a house and a kid, it's all bullshit. For a man like Oki right now, money is the most important. A 20-year contract was enough for him to retire. Moreover, Oki also liked the kind of feelings they showed to Coach Kataoka, and now at Sita High School. This is completely different from the way they dealt with problems at his previous team. At Sita High School, under the roof of a famous school, there is still a heart. One that is enough to warm his heart. Of course, no matter how good an interview is, it is of no use. The real situation will not be known until he reaches Sita High School. You've said it before, the current Coach Kataoka is a player, and I am a coach. There must be various differences of opinion between us. When we have differences, how should we deal with them? Before taking office at Sita High School, Oki raised this question. The dean of Sita High School was very hesitant. He was a little scared. If he told Oki about Kataoka's true character, it would affect Oki's judgment of Sita. Kataoka was very famous for his strict actions in the baseball club of Sita High School. He can ignore the principal's opinion, not to mention him. The dean, I think you could try to talk it out with Coach Kataoka first. In the end, the dean could only give Oki such advice. He really didn't know what else to say. Oki was also keenly aware of this. He originally thought that when he went to Sita High School, he would definitely face very dictator-like management. Unexpectedly, when they actually met, they were two completely different situations. Kataoka's attitude was very respectful and very polite, because Oki has more experience than he does as a professional coach. During this period, I am afraid that my main energy will be on the first string, so I hope to leave the training of the second string to you. Kataoka directly let him lead the training of the second string. Such trust motivated Oki, and at the same time, he had a clearer understanding of Kataoka. It seems that my new boss is not difficult to get along with. On the same day that Mizono and the others returned to the second string, Oki took office. As for the current first string, Oki did not want to intervene right now. 70% of the current first string are third graders, and Kataoka alone trained them. If he intervenes, it may cause confusion for the players. There are barely 2 weeks until the summer competition, and in such a short time, his advice will only add chaos to the string. However, the second string is different. Kataoka is now wholeheartedly putting his energy into the first string, and the second string is just training sheep under the leadership of ordinary coaches. Moreover, they're often drawn out to cooperate with the first string for training. It's different now. Under the management of Oki, they will conduct systematic training and exercises. After taking over the second string of Sita, Oki had to sigh with emotion. Although Sita High School has not entered Koshien for 5 consecutive years, their heritage is still rich. If nothing else, just take this year's freshmen as an example. There are now 3 first graders in the ranks of the first string. These 3 first grades are qualified to represent Sita High School. There is no doubt about their strength. Even in addition to these 3, among the current freshmen, there are still several good seedlings. He caught sight of Tuju Hideaki almost at a glance. The most amazing thing about the young man is his beautiful batting skills. Tuju's batting strength is enough for the boy to be qualified for the first string of Sagara Kokai, the famous school where Oki worked before. In addition, he got such skills despite being only a freshman. It is conceivable that his future must be bright. Not just batting, but also pitching potential. 130 plus km/h ball speed, precise ball control, a good and well-honed pitcher. From the record when the boy was in middle school, he also represented the team and won the top 4 in the national competition. Good. Very good. Oki was a little overjoyed. In addition to Tuju, Kanemaru and Takatsu are also good. It can be seen that they all received the most traditional baseball education, which coincides with Okiai's coaching philosophy. In the next period, he will train these 3 players well. After the retirement of the 3rd grade, they will be the main force. Even if he didn't see it in person, Okiai knew that the Cedar High School first string must be extremely strong now. Cedar High School has confidence in them, and they believe that this year's Sidu will definitely go to Koshien. They haven't been to Koshien for 5 years in a row. If they want to come to Sidu High School, they must know the difficulties. Even so, they're still confident that they will be able to enter Koshien this time. It is not difficult to see that this Sidu High School is stronger now. However, in high school baseball, Okiai, who has more than 10 years of work experience, is very clear about a rule. The rule is that the farther you go in this season, the harder it will be for you to start in the next season. This time, Cedar High School is likely to achieve their ideal results. They may also be eliminated early due to bad luck. These are all uncertain things. Nevertheless, one thing is certain. That is, after the season, the main force of Cedar High School will inevitably undergo a major change. From 9 starters, there are 6 3rd graders. Among the substitutes, the 3rd grade also accounted for more than half. It is conceivable that once the 3rd-year seniors graduate, this seeded team will inevitably face a reorganization. They will even become 2 very different teams from before. How to make Sidu High School survive the coming crisis will depend on my actions. Okiai smiled slyly, and his training of the 2nd string fully began. Of course, Kataoka discussed some things with Okiai before this. From Okiai, Kataoka learned a lot of knowledge and experience. Regardless of their attitudes, both of them actually really like baseball. And as long as they really like baseball, their general judgments on some things are about the same. Of course, there are still differences. Okiai made no suggestion for the current composition of the 1st string. Nevertheless, the 2nd string, a few players was not in his line of sight. Kataoka-sen, do you really think that the strength of Mizono can lead the 2nd string well? Now the captain of the 2nd string is the Mizono. Okiai felt very strange. Why did Coach Kataoka like Mizono? From his judgment, the strength of Mizono is not very noticeable. In addition, the talent is average. His brain is, well, let's say, dull. Such a person can stay in the 2nd string is already a miracle. How can he be the leader? Ono and the others are obviously much more suitable than Mizono. The 1st chapter, 195, Chapter 71, Advertisement. Regarding the Mizono, Kataoka has his own considerations. Coach Okiai, you have not observed him for long. You might as well observe him for a little longer, and I am sure you will have a different judgment. Instead of being stubborn and having Okiai follow his instructions, he persuaded Okiai to observe a little more. At the Kanto tournament, although Sidu High School reached the end, it was because the players were outstanding. It can't be said that Coach Kataoka didn't do anything, but his contribution to the games is not really big. When they faced a difficult or unexpected situation, they either thought of a solution themselves or overcame it with pure power. At that time, Kataoka realized his shortcomings, so he asked the school to find a coach with rich experience in Koshien to be an assistant. Okiai's experience fully meets Kataoka's requirements. Therefore, he attached great importance to Okiai's suggestion. Nevertheless, attaching importance doesn't mean he will obey Okiai's words. The style of Sido High School itself cannot be lost. This is the bottom line. Therefore, he hopes Okiai can observe the player through his own will. If he were forcibly to do it, Okiai would also be dissatisfied. If Okiai is dissatisfied, it will affect his work. Then Kataoka deliberately asking the school to invite Okiai to Sidu will be meaningless. As the competition draws closer, the players of Sidu High School still have an important mission to accomplish. That is the final exam. Players who do not meet the passing scores are not allowed to participate in the competition on behalf of the school according to the school's regulations. After returning to the past, Sawamura was probably most proud of this exam results. He has exceeded the passing grade by a lot, and among the players of Sidu, his scores are also among the best. In fact, most of the players in Sidu High School's first string barely passed the tests. At least they did not have any problem reaching a passing grade. If you want to be able to reach the passing grade, even for Kuramochi level, you can see how low the passing grade of Sito High School is set. Nevertheless, even in this case, the accident happened. In the final exam, Furuya had 4 red marks. Kataoka, who originally planned to focus on cultivating Satoru, was speechless. Right now, your most important task is to study hard. In order to allow Furuya to represent the school in the summer, Kataoka even suspended some of his training. Anyway, he is not the main force of the summer competition. The main reason why Kataoka put him in the first string is to hope that he can grow as soon as possible. After the graduation of the 3rd grade, he can cooperate with Sawamura to carry Sito High School's flag. Now, Kataoka already had a hunch that after graduating from Sito High School this year, Sito High School is likely to transform into a team with pitchers as the core. Although Sito High School has always been known for its offensive power before. However, after this, looks like it will not be the case. With the constant help of Sawamura and Haruchi, Furuya finally passed the makeup exam. Among them, Sawamura spent many brain cells. He was very skeptical about how Furuya passed the general admission test to the Sito. You didn't cheat then, did you? Even though he knew it was impossible, Sawamura couldn't help but doubt it. It's really that Furuya's grades are so bad, it's unimaginable. I studied hard for a year. Furuya pouted and defended himself. After 1 year of studying, you can be admitted to Sito? This person is also quite scary in terms of learning capability. This realization made Sawamura very jealous. Apart from these trivial matters, Sito High School is wholeheartedly preparing for the upcoming summer competition. 1 week before the start of the summer competition, Sito High School's training has normalized, and they're no longer working as hard as before. The summer competition of West Tokyo, including the upcoming Koshin competition, lasts about a month and a half. If you want to play to the end, you must play 13 or 14 games in such a short period. In the middle, you have to collect intelligence, hone tactics, etc. This is a very long and torturous process. Nevertheless, among them, it contains the dreams of hundreds of thousands of players across Japan. In the week before the start, the players of Sito High School have to reserve their physical strength. Therefore, their training pace slowed down. At this moment, a strange matter came to Sito. At the gate of Sito High School, a group of people suddenly came. There are dozens of people in this group. Some held cameras, some held lampstands, some held microphones, and some held reflectors. It is like a crew that is going to make a TV series. Of course, this crew is relatively small. Although the crew is small, there is no shortage of everything that should be there. What is this for? There is also someone on duty at the gate of Sito. Seeing that these people wanted to go to the campus, he stopped them immediately. Our school doesn't allow mass filming. The person on duty was very nervous. He really didn't understand why such a group came. The school did not say that it would hold a press conference. Besides, even though Sito High School is the top giant in the country, it is only a high school after all. No matter what kind of high school they are, there can be no such thing. Normally, there are only scattered reporters. However, in the days when Sito just won the championship at the Kanto tournament, dozens of reporters a day were common. The person on duty thought that he had seen the big scene. Nevertheless, he couldn't help being surprised when he saw the scale of the entire crew. Hello, this is Sito High School, right? The leader handed a business card to the gatekeeper and then explained his purpose. Commercials? The guard was directly shocked by this word. In Japan, an actor or a star studying in high school is not uncommon. However, such star students usually go to international or special schools. It is difficult for a traditional famous school like Sito High School to admit such people. Moreover, Sito High School is not willing to admit such people and cause trouble for themselves. Every school has its educational purpose. As far as the educational purpose of Sito High School is concerned, it is inappropriate to accept entertainers. They are not compatible with Sito High School courses. Since there are no such entertainers or stars in the school, who are they looking for to shoot commercials? Moreover, even if there is such an entertainer or star, shouldn't they go to the studio instead? Why is it the opposite? The more the person on duty thought about it, the more wrong it became. But he couldn't hold back his sincerity, so he had to call the principal's office. As soon as the call was made, the principal was excited. The principal dragged his plump body to the school gate like a rolling ball. "Welcome, welcome. Didn't we already say we would shoot twice a year? We've been waiting for you to come, but we didn't expect to have to wait until now. This is something that can't be helped." Sawamura Eijun said that he has been busy with training before, and he has finally made time for it recently. The second chapter, 196, Chapter 72. For their future back then, Seto High School paid a huge price in order to recruit Sawamura, a player who led the team to 2 national championships in middle school. This has a fatal attraction for a giant like Seto High School. They haven't got to Koshien for 5 years in a row. Even if they did, they would still recruit talents like Sawamura. A player like Sawamura, even if they will not have him, you cannot give him to others. When Sawamura graduated, almost all the powerhouses in the country invited him, including Inashiro and Senku in West Tokyo. These 2 schools have their own ace, and even the ace of Inashiro is in the 2nd grade. They did not need Sawamura's skills for a while. Even so, they still didn't give up and invited Sawamura. The purpose is the same as the above. Even if I don't need him for a while, I can't leave Sawamura to others. Moreover, in the pitcher position, the more you have, the merrier. Compared with these national-level tyrants, Seto does not have any advantages. Nevertheless, they need Sawamura more than those giants, so they will offer more and show more sincerity. The position of the main force, the seat in the first string, the scholarship, and all other tuition fees are completely free in addition to all of that. Seto High School even guaranteed that after Sawamura graduated, even if Seto High School didn't have good results during his time, they would walk Sawamura to a good professional team they had a good relationship well. Seto High School sent an invitation to Sawamura with almost everything down to the most basic level. Moreover, not counting the Takashima Ray also gave the school some advantages that the school did not have. In short, it is money, or more like an opportunity to make money. Sawamura will be used to endorse some brands of the Takashima Group. To this end, the Takashima Group has to pay Sawamura Eijun a lot of money. This is equivalent to giving money to Sawamura in disguise. Although Sawamura himself is not in need or has much interest in money, he is also open to anyone who comes, and he will never let it be left outside if he can get it in his pocket. After the cooperation, the Takashima Group suddenly discovered that there was a huge business opportunity in Sawamura. They did not just help Sawamura to increase his reputation, but their own sales had grown considerably. Before and after the collaboration, Sawamura boosted Takashima's sales in these brands by 4%. These 4 percentage points may seem like a lot, but it is a profit nonetheless. Businessmen who have enjoyed the sweetness will naturally not let the gold mine of Sawamura go, and they will immediately sign more endorsement contracts with Sawamura. It was also at a time like this that they learned that Sawamura himself also endorsed 3 other brands. His business income is more than some current professional baseball players. The managers of the Takashima Group suddenly felt that they couldn't play anymore. They have also invited many stars, and there are not many stars like Sawamura who have the ability to attract money. The most terrifying point is that Sawamura is not very famous except for being a bit famous in the baseball circle. However, he is very liked by his fans. Also uninterrupted, this is also Sawamura's first commercial. In addition, the Hirota Group, who signed the first contract for endorsement with Sawamura, owned the crew responsible for this shooting. Because the Hirota Group has invested in a large number of movies and TV series, they are unique in the production of commercials. According to their contract with Sawamura, there are 2 commercial shoots a year. In these 2 commercial shoots, it was not that Sawamura would go to their studios, but that they would come to Sawamura's school. This kind of dedication is usually a bit much, but Sawamura is a high school baseball player, so he needs to study and train, and also someone high in the company is also Sawamura's fan, so they gave him a good contract. Sawamura is currently living in the Seto High School dormitory, and the shooting of advertisements naturally requires the permission of Seto High School. Therefore, of course, the Hirota crew made such a request to Seto High School to use their ground. After receiving the request, the chubby principal was very excited. Faced with one of the best studios in the country, how could he miss such a good opportunity? In one go, he agreed to the advertiser's request to shoot a commercial video in Seto and asked for another shoot, by the way. He asked if they could make a commercial video for the admission advertisement of Sita High School. They will pay for it, of course. Hiring the Hirota Studios is not something you can hire if you have money. There is no shortage of clients. Considering that there will be a need to make more requests to Sita High School in the future with the contract of Sawamura, the filming crew of the Hirota Studios agreed immediately. Therefore, this time, they came with a double filming mission. One was, of course, filming an advertisement for cleats with Sawamura, and the other was filming the promotion video of Sita High School on the way. In the past, the school's own camera team made all the promotion videos of Sita High School. You can only say that the intentions are good, but the quality? Let's not talk about it. Now, the principal decided to shoot an official one. This official video, of course, will focus on the baseball team of Sita High School. When this request was made to Kataoka, Kataoka was a little stunned. Wasn't this the period leading up to the big summer? However, the players were very enthusiastic about it. Recently, the pace of training at Sita High School has also slowed down. The players themselves don't dare to blindly train more. The most important thing at a time like this is to ensure their own strength. Can training now get them any good improvement? Not to mention the greater chance of injury. Unless there are players who feel that they may make an improvement in a short period, most players choose to stay the same. They will use their familiar rhythm and the most stable state of mind to welcome the upcoming summer competition. Nevertheless, such waiting is very boring. Suddenly, a filming crew came in this adjusting time. Kataoka also realized the mood of the players, especially with Okiai's suggestion. He nodded in agreement and agreed to film this time. If we really have the confidence about entering Koshien, then of course we better accept. The more famous the players are, the better for them. Isn't some players also aiming for the pro leagues? This will have a huge help and influence on their future career planning, even when applying for universities. Everything is for the future of the students. This reason sealed the deal, and Kataoka had no way of rejecting it. 197, Chapter 73. Fun time recording. The filming crew rushed to the baseball field of the Sita High School Baseball Club. The players who just finished training are also looking forward to this. Let us start. The director at the scene, instructing everyone, put all the cameras on. Sawamura-kun. When everything was ready, the director immediately called Sawamura. Oh! Sawamura stepped forward, and immediately someone brought a chair for Sawamura and let him sit down. After Sawamura sat down, 3 people gathered around. One was in charge of putting makeup on him, one was in charge of hanging things on his body, and the other was kneeling down and changing Sawamura's shoes. The treatment of the ancient emperors. The most annoying thing was Sawamura's face. All of this seemed to him to be taken for granted, and he had absolutely no intention of doing it himself. Of the 3 surrounding Sawamura, 2 were beautiful women and 1 was a man. The image deeply impacted all the players of Sita High School. This treatment, is he the emperor or something? The Kohai is too haughty. It is necessary to correct this attitude of his before it becomes worse. Sawamura's attitude successfully angered the players of Sita High School. How many years has the social creed of equality for all been followed? Although no one has really followed it, it still needs to be taken into account in the big picture. In order to prevent Sawamura from going further and further on the wrong road of life, the players decided to educate him. In any case, this is also the responsibility of their seniors. Of course, jealousy is not without. Just like a big star, a senior of the second string said sourly. Of course, he had never seen what a real big star looked like, but Sawamura's behavior reminded him of the big star. The envious, jealous, and hateful eyes of the players were constantly projected on Sawamura, and Sawamura himself felt like he was about to die of injustice. He endured that pretty Onizen applying all kinds of itchy makeup on his face. On the other hand, he has to accept the judgment of the upright eyes of his senpai. After some preparations, Sawamura began to officially shoot commercials. The advertisement for the sneaker is very simple. Just 2 short lines and a few poses. This is his promotional video for half a year. As for the rest, it is edited from these images. The shooting was very simple and only took 10 minutes in total. However, the post-production is very troublesome, and it will take a week to wait until the real sample is released. At a time like this, if they can shoot more angles and obtain more materials, it will make the next work much easier. But there is no way. In the contract with Sawamura, the shooting time is only 1 hour. In terms of Sawamura's personality, even if they waste a little more time each time, Sawamura wouldn't say much. But the Hirota Studios didn't do it. The heir of the Hirota Group is Hirota Tobisu, Sawamura's diehard fan and one of the funders of the Demon King's guards behind the scenes. Hirota Tobisuru will not allow them to waste the training time of his favorite player, right? If they do that, they're not far from being jobless. Fortunately, Sawamura has the experience of their previous life, doing some simple advertising samples. He is already used to it. Sports stars do not need to perform much in commercials. They just need to look cool. So it was relatively easy for anyone to do it as long as they were not nervous. After Sawamura's promotional video was filmed, it was followed by the promotional video of Sita High School. Now, the crew moved again and put makeup on all the players of Sita High School who participated in the filming of the promotional video. Of course, there is no way for them to enjoy the treatment of Sawamura, and the makeup is not very delicate. But even so, there were a lot of smiles. Looking at those beautiful Onizans walking towards a player, then putting makeup on his face, how can these adolescent boys from Sito High School stand it? Most of them were embarrassed and chose to dodge. Some even asked to do it themselves. Kuramochi's face was red from beginning to end, and there was no way to put makeup normally. Normally, you can see him as daring and outgoing, but looking at him so shy and anxious was a change. And this made the coach and the staff anxious. Was this a bad idea? They said it was okay because they promised to help Sidu make a promotional video. Isn't that asking for trouble? These players from Sita High School have absolutely no experience on the camera. Don't move. Watching these boys from Sita High School become more and more messy. The beautiful and gentle Onizan suddenly transformed. She became like a demonic and fierce woman. Don't make trouble for us. Just sit there obediently. Finally, the players calmed down, and then the makeup artist put makeup on them one by one and even changed their shoes. I will do it myself. Makeup is enough, but they can change their shoes? Making her squat down and change their shoes is still too much. Do not move, she said very harshly. These guys are so unpleasant. They all used such a friendly price to shoot a commercial video for Sita High School, and they even gave every one of them an expensive pair of cleats for free. Why don't they advertise their product now? The staff needed to put it on by themselves to make sure the cleats looked good for the shooting, but the players didn't know, okay, everyone, don't move. Sawamura himself had been watching for a while. Right now, he wanted to laugh, but took the initiative to help everyone relax. Eijun knows that this is a very good opportunity for the players of Sidu, especially the third-year seniors. It is sad to say, but before last spring, the third-year seniors did not have much exposure because they did not achieve Koshien or win a tournament. And now, they only have a few more games to play. And even if they win all the games to the end, it will only be 10 or so games, and that is barely enough. So for them to get as much exposure as possible is important. Even if they don't want to go pro, this much will be helpful when they apply for university. With that in mind, Sawamura wouldn't let such an opportunity to help his seniors go. So he helped the seniors calm down so the filming staff could do their tasks, or it would take until the next morning to finish this shooting. After the embarrassment that just started, the players finally quieted down. They were like mummies, and they were allowed to be manipulated. Only 20 people from the first string participated in the shooting. The subject of the shoot is also very interesting. Everyone on the team stood in a circle, and a camera was placed in the center of the circle. As the camera continued to rotate, it swept across the faces of all the players over and over again. Then suddenly, the camera pans down to a pair of brand new sneakers. Captain Yuki stood in the middle and began to lead everyone to shout the slogan. Who are we? The last shot stopped on the picture of everyone with their index fingers soaring into the sky. Even without watching the final video, Sawamura can probably guess that this promotional video will be extremely good. 198. Chapter 74. Sakurako's Big Ambition. This chapter can be considered a filler chapter. Kusaki Sakurako has been very troubled recently. As the captain of the cheerleading club, she has been training hard with her club members in the days leading up to the summer competition. One of the features of the Giants is the exclusive cheerleaders and bands. They are now also part of the Cedar High School baseball team. You must know that Cedar, a famous school, does not only have a baseball club. There are many clubs, but cheerleaders only belong to the baseball team. Especially during this period of the competition, the cheerleaders and the band accompany the baseball team all the way. It can be said that they are all supplementary parts of the Cedar High School baseball club. As cheerleaders and bands, they have no unified competition. Being able to play with the team is one of the few opportunities for them to show their faces. It's just that there are always some people who are not willing to be in the background. Just like in the RPG games, not many people want to be the healer. The girl also has a heart to perform in front of an audience. Kusaki Sakurako is such a person. She is not satisfied with the fate of cheerleading as an assistant to the Cedar High School baseball team. But this is impossible. The biggest club in Cedar High School is the baseball club. If they don't cheer for the baseball club, they can only cheer for other weaker clubs. Just thinking about it is embarrassing. Kusaki Sakurako had always been in an environment where she wanted to stand out, but was limited by the surrounding conditions and had been unable to stand out much. So she is depressed. But this is something beyond her. Even if she was depressed, there was nothing she could do. Fortunately, the girl is not a person who likes to drown in sadness. After being depressed for a while, she dedicated herself to the cause of cheerleading until she saw a chance. This chance is Sawamura Eijun. The miracle created by Sawamura in middle school is amazing. However, when others see Sawamura's skills as magical, she thinks the most amazing thing about Sawamura is that he has his own fans. No matter where he competes, there are always 2 fan clubs who support him unwaveringly. That's how Sawamura's fame grew. He is a player who has just graduated from middle school. He is more famous than almost all high school players. Achievements alone are not enough for him to be this famous. Although not many champions have won the championship 2 times consecutively, some teams did. Sawamura Eijun is only one of them. Therefore, this shows the power of fans. Although Kusaki Sakurako is young, she is smart. She clearly saw the terrifying power of the 2 fan clubs of Sawamura. Not only that, but she also saw the opportunity for her cheerleaders club to soar to the sky from these 2 fan clubs. There are more teams across the country, and there are also many teams with their own cheerleaders. However, even if the team won the national championship, their cheerleaders are just that, the cheerleaders. At most, a few beautiful ones will be individually picked out and become famous. However, she definitely does not want that. She wants her cheerleading team to be the best in the nation. And then she, Kusaki Sakurako, the captain of the best cheerleading team, will be famous. She wants to be famous by her own effort, not by chance. So, what if the cheerleaders of Cedar High School collaborated with the 2 fan clubs of Sawamura? The result would make a huge difference. Just imagine, the cheerleaders are dancing in the middle, the drums are playing in the front, the band is playing in the back, and then the people of the Demon King's Guard are around. There was almost no need to perform, and the Cedar High School cheerleaders won. In addition, the best part of this is a method that no one else can copy yet. Even if others call all the students in the school, they may not be able to get so many people. What's more, you can't call them all. Especially in the case of Koshien, can bring all the students of the school to cheer for your school together. Not to mention Koshien, even in its own territory, few schools can do that. If you can call half of them, it's not bad. What a wonderful idea. It's a pity that Sawamura didn't listen at all, even though she is not right in the head. Are you not? Damn, Sakurako really wants to tear Sawamura apart. But there is no way. Now she has a request for Sawamura. The closer the summer competition gets, the more anxious Sakurako's heart is. Especially after she heard from her friends that the players in the baseball club of Cedar High School were filming a commercial video. Sakurako's anxiousness reached its peak. I can't wait any longer. Right now, Sakurako carried forward and made a decisive decision. She has to try harder no matter what. When Sawamura communicates with his fans, also takes time. When the summer competition really starts, Sawamura's 2 fan clubs will already have their own plans. At a time like this, If the cheerleaders are added, it may be superfluous. So she must move fast. Under the urgency of time, Sakurako's mind started to move to the extreme. She will play the emotional card with Sawamura through two of her second-year classmates who are in the baseball club. Both men are the starters of the baseball club, Kuramochi and Miyuki. In addition, it is said that the relationship between the two people and Sawamura is close. Kuramochi shares a dormitory with Sawamura. Miyuki is Sawamura's partner. Play a friendship card. This is the first part of the plan. Then, she thought of a second part of the plan. She intends to get Yuki, and the two of them will use the cute girl card. Yes, that will work. Although she isn't some kind of beauty queen, she is confident in her appearance. In addition to this plan, Sakurako intends to talk to Sawamura again first. Sakurako also wanted to move Sawamura with her sincerity. Honestly, she didn't have much confidence in Miyuki and Kuramochi's persuasion. On the night of the filming, Sakurako found Sawamura. Seeing the weird senpai coming again, Sawamura didn't even talk to her and immediately fled. This senpai is not right in the head, so it's better to stay away from her. 199, Chapter 75, Kuramochi's popular phase. This chapter 2 can be considered a filler chapter. But before that, I want to say that there is only one chapter left in this volume. And from tomorrow, we will finally start the summer games. So, see you tomorrow, and have a nice day. In a classroom of the second grade of Seto High School, there are two girls standing beside Kuramochi. One is his classmate, and the other is Yuki, the very active girl normally. But she isn't speaking right now, just trying to look cute. Even after the filming yesterday, Kuramochi is still very nervous. Haha, Sakurako-chan, what is it that you want to say? Sakura and Snow were greatly relieved. Kuramochi's reaction curiously gave them confidence, and they thought their charm had dropped before. That's right, there's one thing we really want to ask Kuramochi-kun. Sure enough, the two beauties in the class suddenly came to him, and Kuramochi knew that they would have a reason for it. Oh, he agreed and motioned for Kusuke Sakurako to continue. We want to work with those two fan groups in Sawamura. You want what? For no reason, Kuramochi resented the proposal. We want our cheerleaders and the members of the second string to get into their formation. This way, it can increase the cheering momentum of our Seto High School. Think about it. Thousands of people cheering in unison. Won't this be big? When the players are on the field, with our help, everyone can call out the players' names in unison. Of course, for Sawamura-kun, it can also strengthen his fans' momentum. This can be said to kill two birds with one stone. And in this cheering cooperation, the cheerleaders have to definitely get the top priority. To be the first in the nation is no problem. The ambition is burning inside Sakurako's heart. Kuramochi feels that something is wrong. However, he doesn't know what is it. Please. Yuki was on the side, gently tugging at Kuramochi's sleeve, behaving in a spoiled manner. Kuramochi is not an idiot. Well, not exactly. He has seen the plots of scumbags before. He knew too well that the woman in front of him had other motives. Nevertheless, when a cute girl asks you something cutely like this impact is definitely not something that Kuramochi can bear. Even if Kuramochi knew that she was doing this now and was 100% acting, he couldn't help but soften his heart. Why don't you go directly to Sawamura yourself? Hearing this question, Sakurako and Yuki's expressions immediately became strange. They also think so. Originally, they didn't want to pin their hopes on Kuramochi and Miyuki. With her own charm, as long as he could talk to Sawamura face to face, Sakurako was still confident in persuading Sawamura. In any case, this is a win-win situation. Sawamura had absolutely no reason to refuse. However, that stinky bastard Sawamura is afraid of her. Whether it was her or Yuki, Sawamura always avoided them far away. This attitude makes them lose the basis of conversation. Kusaki Sakurako is not reckless. She is very smart, I don't know about that. The tighter she chases now, the faster Sawamura hides. They can't keep running around like this. Time is not on Sakurako's side. If Sawamura's fan club had started their plans, even if Sawamura asked it, things would be difficult to do. Therefore, Sakurako urgently needs to find a bridge for communication between the two parties. So she thought of Kuramochi. Is it such a simple thing after all? Why are you embarrassed? Yuki was on the side, pretending to be cute. When Sakurako heard this, she was disgusted. If she wasn't in front of Kuramochi and she couldn't ignore her image, she might have vomited right away. This excuse is too bad. However, Kuramochi's IQ suddenly dropped by 50 points. He actually believed it. Okay, let me talk to him. Although the words were not full, his tone was not difficult. With his relationship with Sawamura, this kind of thing is not easy to catch. Kuramochi went to see Sawamura, and Sakurako went to see Miyuki right away. She also wanted Miyuki to help, so she told Miyuki what she had told Kuramochi before. I'm afraid it will be difficult for Sawamura to agree. Miyuki frowned. Why? Sakurako's eyes widened in surprise. At the same time, Sawamura gave Kuramochi the exact same answer. If it's something else, I'll do my best since Kuramochi-senpai has asked. But for this matter, I can't help with it. Kuramochi thought that Sawamura was acting cool and suddenly stared at him with a fierce look. Sawamura raised his hand, signaling Kuramochi to take it easy. Kusaki-senpai approached me before, and I thought her brain was broken, so I ignored her. Now that she is bothering you, I will explain. In second-grade classrooms, have you ever thought about who the main cheering group is? Our second/third string and our cheerleaders, or the two fan clubs of Sawamura? Miyuki asked. Sakurako froze for a moment. She felt that Miyuki's question was too strange, so why should it be asked? Of course, it's mostly cheerleaders. Of the entire queue, the cheerleaders are definitely the most visible. Miyuki chuckled. I understand what you think, but you have to think from the other's point of view. Why should they do that? Yeah, why the Brotherhood of Red Heart and the Demon King's Guard are going to serve as a support for the cheerleaders. How awesome are the cheerleaders of Sido High School? After all, they were just one of the cheerleaders in hundreds of high schools. The Brotherhood of Red Heart and the Demon King's Guard are the two largest fan groups in the entire high school. They are famous throughout the high school. Compared with the status of the two, it is like a third-tier singer and a superstar. Why should the superstar serve as a support for the third-rate star? Even if Sawamura is the boss of this superstar, he can't do this. On the other hand, Sawamura said to Kuramochi, for our school's cheerleaders to cooperate with those two fan clubs, there are only two options. One is for them to register as members of those two clubs, and the other is for me to ask the clubs to integrate into Sido's cheering group. Which do you think is more suitable? Kuramochi was stunned for a moment. He felt that it was not okay. The support team of Sido High School added up to a total of just over 100, and the number of fans Sawamura are in the thousands. It doesn't matter who gets into who in name, it's actually the same. They will become like fans of Sawamura. Akaji Middle School is an example. With Sawamura and the others graduating, the Brotherhood of Red Heart also graduated from Akaji Middle School's fan club. This kind of thing doesn't matter to Akaji Middle School, which is nothing in the first place, but to a famous school like Sido High School, the damage is too great. 200. Chapter 76. The Promise at Jingu Stadium, Tokyo. Meiji Jingu Stadium. Time flies, and in a blink of an eye, it's time to start the summer tournament. The opening ceremony of the high school competition was held very grandly. All 260 high schools in Tokyo gathered at Jingu Stadium. There are 24 people in a team, and the 260 high schools combined. The number has reached more than 5,000. In the big summer, standing in such a queue, you will feel that your whole body is going to melt. The players of Sido High School lined up in a neat row, standing in the middle of the 260 queues. It's too hot. Sawamura wiped away the fine sweat on his forehead impatiently. A lot of people. Sawamura himself felt aggrieved, not to mention Furuya, who had just moved to Tokyo from Hokkaido. He was slumped all over, as if he was about to collapse on the ground at any moment. Kaminato next to him was very excited and explained it kindly. Because in Tokyo, all the teams from the East and West regions have to come here to participate in the opening ceremony. From the semifinals in the West region, we can play at Jingu Stadium. We should aim to be able to return to this stadium first. The total number of schools in the East and West districts is 260. In the next 3 weeks of the schedule, two schools will be able to represent Tokyo and participate in Koshien, the road to resurrection of a famous school and a powerhouse. Sidu's summer has begun. Just after attending the opening ceremony, Furuya was paralyzed. His whole body was like dry grass, and the water in his body was completely evaporated. As fellow first years in the first string, Sawamura and Haruchi took on the responsibility of taking care of him without hesitation. Furuya looks very thin, but he is more than 1.8 meters tall, 6 feet, and his body weight is still not light. An arm was placed on Sawamura's shoulder, and he was able to move forward by leaning on Sawamura's drag. How can you still participate in the competition when you look like this? Sawamura muttered angrily. He's feeling hot too, okay? Furthermore, although Furuya is not Sidu's main force this summer, Superintendent Kataoka also placed high expectations on him. With him being like this, how can he participate in the competition? If he can't participate in the competition, what will he use to prove himself? You must know that being able to participate in the competition in the first year is a great opportunity for the players. If Furuya does not catch up with this step, then he will fall behind step by step, although the two are rivals. Nevertheless, Sawamura didn't want Furuya to fall behind. Not to mention that the two are good friends. Even as a competitor, Sawamura won't be happy if he wins against Furuya like this. Outside the Jingu Stadium, the players from Sidu, who had just attended the opening ceremony, met the Inashiro team. The battle table is out, and the two teams are divided into completely different divisions. If they want to face off, it's the finals of this summer tournament. Nani, Narumiya May, like a frightened rabbit, screamed and hid behind Harada. What's wrong? Harada is very puzzled. Look, Tampa-sen shaved his head because he was hit by the ball. Don't hide, it's shameful. This is their ace, which makes Harada also very upset. However, he remembered that Tampa was hit in the arm, not in the head. We were also taken aback by the previous situation, but what happened to the head? Sure enough, polite words are just foreshadowing, but Harada still directly asked the question raised by Narumiya May idiot. Of course, Tampa wants to take back his ace number, so he shaved his head. Isashiki Jun said loudly. Tampa, I didn't think so. However, he, who has always cared about his hairstyle, shaved his head to prepare for this last year's summer competition wholeheartedly. You just look forward to meeting us. We will definitely pull you down from your high throne, said Isashiki. Hearing this, Harada nodded and replied, although I don't think we are any better. Nevertheless, since you made the challenge, then we naturally can't back down. See you in the final. Harada's spirit is amazing. It has always been said that the core of Inashiro is their ace, Narumiya May. Of course, this is not wrong. Inashiro is indeed a team built with Narumiya May as the core. At least this team and the next one. But this does not mean that Inashiro has no other people. Captain, fourth batter, and main catcher. Harada, who has 3 positions on him, also has a position that should not be underestimated in Inashiro. Or to put it more bluntly, he is the real core of Inashiro. It's you, don't get eliminated before you meet us again. This seems to be our line. Harada's spirit is high, and Tetsuya does not show weakness when he is challenged. The two teams, Sidu High School and Inashiro Industrial High School, were here, and it was agreed that they would meet in the final. Of course, before that, they have to defeat the powerful opponents in front of them. But both teams are confident. Eventually, they will meet. They not only believe in themselves, but also in their opponent. Because Sidu High School is a seeded team, there is no need to participate in the first round. In this way, they have a few more days to rest and prepare. During this time, the baseball club of Sidu High School received more and more support. Those seniors who graduated, the alumni of Sidu High School, also came to watch the team practice almost every day. This kind of support puts a lot of pressure on the players. Expectations are too high. In the face of so many people who support him, if Sidu High School can't produce results, it will be difficult to explain. Meanwhile, the first day of competition is over. Sidu High School also obtained the information of their opponents in the first game. Their opponents in the first game have been determined. Tokyo Metropolitan Meimin West High School. In the face of the important first battle, Sidu High School was very cautious and all the players of the first string came to the conference room for the meeting. End of Volume 2, 201. Chapter 1. Mayman High School. The members in charge of the investigation are still very serious about collecting information. In their intelligence, not only the tactical information about the opponent, but even the personal information of the opponent's players was carefully investigated. After hearing this, Sawamura gave these serious and responsible seniors a thumbs up. But that's it. Mayman is a public school, and it is impossible for such a school to train for too long normally. The gap between them and Sidu is simply vast. Of course, it's not without surprises. In public schools and academies, it is not that there are not good teams. But judging from the game video, the overall level of Mayman High School is not very high. The only thing worthy of praise is probably their fielding. It's rather solid. It's enough to catch up with the substitutes of Sidu's second string. At this level, even if you give Narumia to them, it will be for nothing. In the current Sidu, there is Sawamura on the pitcher mound. Ordinary teams like Mayman can be ignored in total. The batters just need to concentrate on studying how to attack the opponent's pitcher. Even the leaders, Kataoka, Okiai, Takashima, and Oda don't think their opponents will bring much trouble to Sidu. No matter who the opponent is, we must go all out. Kataoka finally gave only such a sentence. Otherwise, what else should he say? The tactics also need the opponent to have enough weight. Against an opponent like Mayman, Sidu can win with any set of tactics, and there is no need to limit any tactics. Tomorrow's starter is Sawamura, catcher Chris. Other positions remain the same. After the announcement of the starting list, Kataoka ended the meeting. Facing the competition, Sidu's players didn't even feel nervous. They are so confident. Confidence that you will definitely win. Thinking about the hardships and sweat they had suffered before if they lost to an opponent like Mayman. Then they should choke on water and drown themselves to death. Furuya got instructions from Kataoka, and if the opportunity was right, he would let Furuya play. That means if the victory can be sealed at the beginning, he will let Furuya come on the field and feel the atmosphere of the summer tournament. It is evident that Kataoka attaches high expectations to Furuya. Of course, this confidence does not mean that the players of Sidu are careless. As Kataoka said, even if they are an easy opponent, they will not show mercy to anyone. Every time they win, their baseball career in high school will last for a while more. Failure means the end. The players of Sidu High School will never allow such a thing to happen. On the other hand, the same goes for the players at Mayman High School. The night of the game, all the players didn't rest. Although Mayman has its own baseball field, there is no extravagant night lighting equipment like Sidu in the baseball field. Their players gather in the hallway below the teaching building, practicing their swing and passing. All of them had serious expressions on their faces. When the battle table result just came out, the players in Mayman High School were all stupefied. They also dreamed of Koshien and even made incredible sacrifices for Koshien. But their road is not optimistic. In the second round, they have to face the powerhouse Sidu High School. In the quarterfinals, it is no surprise that they will encounter another top-level giant Ikedaisen High School. If the final is normal, it is Inashiro Industrial High School. The three giants in West Tokyo are like three mountains pressing on their hearts. They must break through all of them to have a chance to enter Koshien. It is a nightmare. Faced with such a nightmare, under the supervision of Chiba Junichi, the Mayman players, who trained hard, accepted the reality. No matter what they face in front of them, they have to face it calmly. For the ideal holy place in their heart, whether it is Sidu, Senku, or Inashiro, they will fight to the end. In front of the classroom, with slippers on his feet, Chiba Junichi, who looked disheveled, held a bat in his hand and carried it on his shoulders, asking his assistant beside him, "Did those guys from Sidu come to spy on our information today?" His assistant is the team managing teacher assigned to him by the school. That is, the teacher who manages the baseball team affairs. Yes, not only that, but they also use cameras to record. Hearing this news, Chiba Junichi was not depressed, but extremely excited. Okay, very good. Sidu, who watched the video of the game, must look down on us. I'm looking forward to seeing Sidu's dumbfounded faces. The leading teacher was hesitant. Is it going to be revealed so soon? If Maimon is aiming at Koshien, it must pass through the three giants of West Tokyo. Although Maimon also has countermeasures, but if it is exposed so early, the effect of the surprise attack will be lacking. At that time, what will Maimon use to deal with Sanka High School and Inashiro? There is no other way. We have too few cards in our hands. Let's fight Sidu first. Then, with this momentum, let's try our best to rush forward. On the surface, Chiba Junichi, who seems to be rough, is actually aware of the gap between the two sides. If Maimon wants to win, the most important thing is to find a way to stop Sidu's attack. As a famous school, Sidu must be very eager to gain an advantage. And if this goal has never been achieved, then Maimon has a chance to win. Having paid so much, Maimon has long been ready to fight against any giants in Tokyo. Whether it is Sidu High School or some other team, there is nothing for them to be afraid of. What really needs a headache is what will happen to Maimon High School after the trump card is exposed. On the day of the game, Fuchu Civil Stadium. The cheerleading team of Sidu High School is waiting for the game to start. For managers holding megaphones stood at the forefront of the line. On the other hand, the members of the Demon King's Guard and the Brotherhood of Red Hearts were also ready for the competition. In addition to these exclusive fans, Sidu's alumni, those seniors who graduated from Sidu, whenever they have time, they will come here. The stadium, which was originally small, is now full. It's just a pity that there is no one here who supports Maimon. In addition to the fans, there are also reporters, as well as the investigation team of the Sanka High School and Inashiro Industrial High School. These two giants also regarded Sidu as the first imaginary enemy. They will not miss any game of Sidu this summer. Starting now is the second round of the West Tokyo preliminaries. The match between Sidu High School and Maimon High School will officially begin. Following a sentence from the commentator, the players from both sides lined up on both sides and saluted each other. Pleased to play with you. Pleased to play with you. The starters of Sidu are Sawamura, Chris, Tetsuya, Ryosuke, Masuko, Kuramochi, Sakai, Isashiki, and Shiratsu. The summer tournament starts. 202. Chapter 2. Unexpectedly difficult in the first half of the first inning, Sidu High School attacked. The starting pitcher of Maimon High School surprised Sidu's players. The starting pitcher is not their number 1 ace, but the number 10 Minamadera Mamoru. What the hell is this? Chris did not participate in the investigation, and the information on Minamadera Mamoru was not available on Sidu's side. In this way, we can only play and observe. Kuramochi shook his shoulders and stepped into the strike zone. In the audience, Sidu alumni are very worried. Today is our first battle. I hope it won't be too difficult. No, we have Yuki and Sawamura. Maybe the other party looks very powerful. No matter what the popcorn enjoyers were talking about, Kuramochi's eyes were firmly locked on the opponent's pitcher. The starter is not the southpaw ace, but the number 10 Minamadera Mamoru. They have no information on this guy. His skills are completely unknown. Under such circumstances, when the batter stands on the strike zone, the situation is very passive. And from the ball that Minamadera and practiced throwing before, Kuramochi was also very surprised. This Minamadera is a very rare submarine pitcher. There are 3 main types of pitching form: overhand throw, side throw, and submarine. Most pitchers are of overhand throw type. Side throw or sidearm throw are like Kawakami. When he throws the ball, his arms go around the side of the body, not over the top of his head. This is the so-called side throw, and pitching in such a position naturally has its unique advantages. In addition to these two, there is also another type. At the moment of stepping, the arm goes around the body and is lower than the front knee. This is called the submarine throw. And people call this pitcher a submarine pitcher. This kind of pitching has a lot of limitations, which is losing part of the speed and power of the ball. Also, because of its pitching trajectory, it enters the strike zone from the bottom up, which is different from the other two throws, which will make the batter very uncomfortable. So this pitching method also has its unique advantages. In the first game, they encountered such a strange form. Kuramochi raised the bat in his hand high. Playing against a pitcher like Minamadera was something he had never thought of before. So how should I deal with him? The responsibility of the first batter must be to stand on the base. But for a pitcher whom they have never met before, even if he suddenly blindly hits the pitch, it will be helpful. I might as well take a good look at his pitching. Right now, Kuramochi had already made up his mind to watch the ball first. Even if he couldn't make the first hit, he could share the information he observed with Ryo-san later. What level is the opponent? This is also unclear, and it is not helpful to attack rashly when it is not clear. I have to plan for the long term. The cheerleaders of the second string, commanded by Mizono in the stands, were not silent. Hit it out. You can do it. Use your speed to disrupt the opponent. They're standing and talking big. Kuramochi doesn't know what kind of ball the opponent will throw. So how do you ask Kuramochi to swing? Whoosh. In any case, Minamadera's first ball was thrown. Unlike the average submarine pitcher, he swung his arms outward as he pitched. Not quite a submarine pitcher, more like a submarine side thrower. Snap! Nevertheless, the ball moved and landed in the catcher's open mitt with a crisp sound. After just one pitch, Kuramochi's face changed. So slow. And when the opponent pitched the ball over, the course was very low, even lower than expected. The pitcher's throwing form also looked very awkward, even more than Kawakami's. The speed of the ball is very slow, so it is not easy for Kuramochi to deal with such a ball because his swing speed is much faster than the ball speed, so he needs to sync the timing. If not, it will be a foul ball. Snap! He didn't observe much with the first ball, and with the second ball, he still didn't swing. Strike! Kuramochi lost 2 strikes and was chased by the pitcher. Right now, he had noticed the pitcher's quality of the ball. Because the pitching form was particularly low, the ball floated from the bottom to the top, and then sank after it floated up. This is the variation of the submarine form. If you want to hit this kind of ball, you must aim at the point after the rise and before it sinks again. However, it was really awkward, and he was forced to fall behind by 2 strikes. Kuramochi looked at his opponent with a headache. The dugout of Meiman High School. Chiba Junichi excitedly held the cheering megaphone in his hand for cheering. If it is useful, he will use it. Minamadera was a talented pitcher at Meiman at the beginning, but he did not expect to hurt his joints in a practice game. Since then, have been unable to swing his arms upwards. It's not impossible, it's just he can't put much power in the ball at all. As a pitcher, he was the equivalent of being broken. For Minamadera Mamoru, who loves baseball, this is like he has been struck by thunder. Chiba Junichi couldn't bear to see him so sad, so he told him that there was another way. It took him 2 full years to change his pitching form to the submarine form. This is impossibly hard for an ordinary player to do. However, Mamoru, he did it. Not to mention the real game. Even in practice games, he never let Minamadera pitch. Now, it's time to reap the fruit of patience and witness the miracle. The batter from Seido High School was stunned in the face of an opponent who had no information at all. Doesn't it make you happy that you have forced a famous school to look like this? Minamadera, you can do it. Whoosh! The white ball whizzed out and instantly crossed the pitcher's hand and arrived at the catcher's mitt. In the face of this ball, he had already lost 2 strikes, and Kuramochi, who was being chased, could only swing his bat. At the moment when the bat was about to touch the ball, the white ball suddenly sank. The bat swept past the small white ball. Snap! Strike! Batter out! The first batter of Seido High School was struck out. Yay! On the pitcher's mound, there was a roar from Minamadera. All the emotions accumulated in his mind exploded at this moment. After 2 years, he finally stood up on the mound again. I'm sorry. Nothing of value has been found. Kuramochi, who was struck out, was a little frustrated, but he was still very calm and exchanged information with Ryosuke Kaminado. It's enough to see the breaking ball. Kaminado Ryosuke didn't care. It was his and Isashiki's responsibility to deal with such a strange pitcher as Minamadera. One of them has a superb swinging skill. The other, who is particularly good at hitting tricky pitches, bring it on. That's it for today. Have a nice day. 203. Chapter 3. 3 up, 3 down. After seeing Minamadera's pitch, Chris immediately called Sawamura to do some warm-up. This kind of pitcher with a strong fighting spirit and his own unique way of playing will be difficult to conquer for a while. Correspondingly, The time for Sidu's side to play defense will also be much earlier. Ideally, I would prefer for us to be in the lead before pitching. Chris felt sorry. It's not that he doesn't trust Sawamura's pitching. His main consideration is the progress of the game. If they can take the lead, then Sawamura's pitching will put more pressure on the opponent and make it easier to defeat them. If he can't lead, the game is likely to devolve into a pitching duel. After all, this was the first battle of the Sidu High School tournament. If it were too difficult, it would damage morale. If they can't solve the battle against Maimon easily, that won't just give morale to the other teams. Even your players will doubt their own strength. The standard of high school baseball is very high. Even a professional team can have a tough match against a strong high school team. They may not necessarily lose, but a normal professional team will have a difficult time. This is the difference between professional and non-professional. It is not just about strength, but also mentality. If the first game goes smoothly, it will be very helpful for the games Sidu has to play after. Oh, Sawamura agreed and warmed up with Chris by passing and receiving the ball. 10 balls are fine. Sawamura's shoulders are soft, and he can warm up with hardly too many balls. While there's a warm-up pitching in the bullpen, a fierce duel is still unfolding on the other side. Kaminato Ryosuke didn't plan to use his own stunt, which would also need a lot of focus for the batter. It is not easy to hit the ball out of bounds accurately. Maimon's pitcher is not worthy of it. Nevertheless, his submarine form is tricky. Ryosuke deliberately stared at the below of the strike zone. This point has not escaped the eyes of the catcher of Maimon High School. The batter is very concerned about the low breaking ball. In that case, use the outside corners to decide the outcome. Thinking about it, he gave Minamadera a sign. On the pitcher's mound, Minamadera nodded silently. Whoosh! As if it was coming from the ground, a small ball suddenly rushed out and whistled. Kaminato Ryosuke's face became serious. He aimed at the outside corner and swung decisively. With Minamadera's ball speed, Ryosuke didn't need to lock at a certain course at all. He could swing and hit any ball at any time. Ping! The white ball was hit and flew off the sideline of third base. Snap! The third baseman of Maimon High School caught the white ball in his glove with his backhand. Out! Ryosuke's face was a bit embarrassed. The opponent's ball is not powerful. He subconsciously wanted to hit a long hit, but he made a mistake and pulled too much. The ball comes from the bottom of the zone. Looks like I calculated wrong, 2 out. Are Sidu okay like this? This state is not good. The seniors and alumni of Sidu became nervous one by one. It seems that today's luck is not on the side of Sidu. This is too bad luck. 2 outs, no one on base. It was Isashiki's turn at bat. Roar spits. Work hard. You can do it. Maybe because the situation was too unfavorable, the cheers on the field became louder. At this moment, Isashiki, who heard the word spits, was furious. I've said 1,000 times, I'm not a spitz. Hurrah! With a roar, the white ball was hit and flew out. Isashiki has a lot of experience in hitting this kind of ball that others can't hit well. The small white ball flew straight to the outfield. Once it hits the ground, it must be a super long hit. It is a pity that the outfielder of Maimon who retreated early caught the ball. Snap! Out! The offense in the first inning of Sidu High School ended here. 3 up and 3 down. For the explosive Sidu, this start is unfavorable. In the dugout of Maimon High School, Superintendent Chiba Junichi looked overjoyed. Minamadera is back. He's finally back. There's a chance to win this game. Maimon really has a chance. Even if Sidu High School wants to go all out subconsciously, they still underestimate us. And this is a good opportunity for us to take advantage of it. Fight, attack with all your might, and score points. Chiba Junichi shouted to his students excitedly. Yes, at a time like this, Maimon High School's own players also thought they had chance. The pitcher is Minamadera. As long as they can get a point from Sidu, then you can defend it fully. The balance of victory will inevitably tilt toward Maimon. I'm so sorry. Such an opportunity cannot appear. Sawamura stretched his arms and walked grimly on the pitcher's mound. If you want to suppress the opponent's momentum completely, the most effective way is to make the opponent despair. Sawamura is quite familiar with this point. Strike, strike, strike batter out. Strike batter out. Strike batter out. By barely using normal straights and the wall-making form, Sawamura struck out the first 3 batters of Maimon High School. Sawamura didn't need to use the moving ball or any of his myriad breaking balls. He didn't even need to use his control much. With 9 balls, less than 3 minutes in total, the defense mission of Cedar High School in the first inning was over. The members of the Brotherhood of Red Heart and the Demon King's guards just started to take formation, and they haven't started to shout their slogans. But it was over. Oh my, our Demon King has a style. On the other hand, at the dugout of Maimon High School, everyone looked stupidly at Sawamura, who was walking down the pitcher mound. When Sawamura played just now, they knew that the opponent was a first year, and they were quite happy. Unexpectedly, the famous Sidhu would have a first-year ace. Like this, they were ready to go all out and do all they could to score before Sidhu replaced him. Unexpectedly, such a monster came up. In the rest area of Maimon, the only first-year player stared blankly at Sawamura. That person is the Demon King Sawamura. Because of Obayashi and Kobayashi, Miyamoto didn't have time to react, and that first grader didn't recognize Sawamura at the beginning. Now he remembers him. Who? Chiba Junichi's voice changed. How could he not know that there is such a player? That's right. I'll never mistake him. That person is Sawamura Eijun, who graduated from Akagi Middle School. The Demon King, Sawamura Eijun. I felt the atmosphere was wrong before. Even if Sidhu is a famous school, it is impossible to have so many fans right now. So it's them. Chiba Junichi's brows furrowed into one. Who are they? The Demon King's Guard and the Brotherhood of Red Heart. In the stands, Obayashi, Kobayashi, and Miyamoto looked at each other. My lord, aren't you going a bit too fast? We didn't have time to start cheering yet. 3 ups and 3 downs, with 3 strikeouts in a row. In the first inning of the confrontation, Sawamura won. However, at a time like this, the players of Maimon High School did not feel hopeless. They still have a little bit of fantasy about their own pitchers. The first chapter, 204, Chapter 4, Tetsuya swing in the first half of the second inning. Sidhu High School attacked. Right now, the rest area of Maimon High School. Coach Chiba Junichi's face was pale. What Sawamura just threw, for what he can see, is the most common straight ball, but this is the most common straight ball, and these proud students under his command can't even touch the ball. Not only they missed the ball course, but also the timing of the swing was much too late. Why is that? As soon as a player came, he asked. There's no way to see the ball's starting point, and the ball has looked super fast at the strike zone. Zupa fust. From the perspective of Chiba Junichi, Sawamura's ball is fast, but it is definitely not super fast. It is only 140 kilometers per hour max. However, it is definitely not enough to discourage the mind of the batter. Nevertheless, the players say they feel that the ball is faster after they get to the strike zone. Faster than 140 km/h. Sawamura Eijun, who is just in the first year, but his spec is way beyond the standard. What a monster! It took him 3 years to cultivate a Minamadera. Sawamura had just started high school, and his strength was beyond that of Minamadera and Kikunaga. Now, it's troublesome. Sawamura's flawless performance completely shut up Chiba Junichi, who was active in the game. He saw no hope of taking points out of Sawamura's hands. Despite this fact, Chiba Junichi said firmly, "It takes patience now. As long as we can stop them from scoring, opportunities will definitely appear. After all, the pitcher is only a first year, and his physical strength cannot support 9 innings. The pressure brought by Sawamura is indeed great, but not enough to feel hopeless. For the 3rd grade, this is their final tryout, when the game was over and their high school baseball career was over. Whatever it is, now they have to go all out. 4th batter, first baseman, Yuki-kun. At the beginning of the first half of the second inning, Sidhu's 4th batter, Yuki Tetsuya, took the strike zone. In the team of the second string of Sidhu High School, several figures immediately jumped out. Play out, Tetsu. It's time to show them your power. Finish them, captain. Needless to say, just looking at the cheering momentum, you can know that this batter was different even in Sidhu. On the bench, the players of the first string also stood up and cheered for their captain. As soon as Yuki Tetsuya stood on the strike zone, everyone felt as if something extraordinary was about to happen. Come on, captain. Smash it out. In the face of Sidu's fourth batter, Mayman was also prepared. Their shortstop moved directly to the position close to the second base, which was in the direction of the first base. Not only him, but also all fielders of Mayman's gave the impression of concentrating on the first base side. For a right-handed batter, this kind of defense is equivalent to blocking the path of the outside corner pitch. Does the opponent plan to use an outside corner pitch to decide the outcome? Isashiki muttered in dissatisfaction. Kuramochi frowned and shared his experience with Sawamura. That pitcher's outside corner ball felt like it was on the ball side. Sawamura nodded. Of course, the pitcher is right-handed, and with the submarine pitching form, the outside corner from this angle feels different. From the perspective of the batter, it will naturally feel very far away. And presumably, Tetsu-san also knows this. It feels like trying to escape from the face-to-face showdown, Sakai said in a loud voice. Just as everyone was having a heated discussion, Kataoka suddenly spoke. You guys look closely at Yuki's batting. The players were stunned for a moment, but they quickly recovered. Superintendent Kataoka meant that they should learn something from Tetsuya. On the strike zone, Tetsuya held into the bat in a hand and lifted it up very simply. The catcher of Mayman High School put the mitt in the outer corner. They know a bit about Yuki Tetsuya. That is one of the best in the whole Kanto area, and it doesn't matter if you lose a base against him. The most important thing is to throw the ball all the way to the outside corner. This means that it doesn't matter if you throw a ball. The most important thing is to be tricky. On the pitcher's mound, Manamadera held his breath and threw the baseball in his hand. Sawamura brought a lot of pressure, but Manamadera has no time to worry about Sawamura now. His task is to deal with the batters who are currently on the strike zone now. Whoosh! The white ball whizzed out and flew towards the catcher's mitt. Yuki stayed motionless facing this ball. Snap! Ball! Snap! Ball! 2 balls in a row. In the rest area, the voices of the players suddenly became high. Nice! Kuramochi grinned. As expected of the captain, he can clearly see it. He was very resentful of Manamadera's outside corner pitch when he played. He really did not expect that the captain could calmly judge the strikes and balls. They are behind in the count, and the pressure on Manamadera's shoulders is getting heavier and heavier. At a time like this, the problem of his inexperience arose. He felt very uncomfortable with Tetsuya just standing on strike zone. A lot of danger. If you want to strike so much, then you can have it. Let's go. After 2 balls, Manamadera threw a strike. The white ball flies to the bottom of the home plate. The motionless Tetsuya suddenly seemed to wake up. Buzz! The bat was swung like lightning, and the momentum was crushing. Ping! The small white ball was hit and flew to the field. The ball is so fast, and it looks like the time around has stopped, and moved again when the ball hit the ground. Pack! The baseball landed next to the first baseman's feet and bounced off the ground. The first baseman who was guarding there only had time to turn his head, and he watched the baseball fly out of his side. Behind the first baseman is a huge gap. Tetsuya took this opportunity to go to second base. Until now, time seems to slowly recover. Damn, what was that? So fast. It's faster than 200 kilometers per hour. I really didn't expect that among high school students today, there is such a swing. Relying on a strong grounder to cross the outfield defense. The strong hit destroyed Mayman High School's defense. With practical actions, Yuki Tetsuya destroyed the last hope in the hearts of Mayman High School players. Sidu's rest area. Kataoka folded his arms across his chest and said coldly, I don't need a flashy long hit. I want you to break through the opponent's defense with strong grounder hits. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Kataoka quickly grasped the weakness of Mayman High School. Their pitchers do have a bit of quality, but their fielding is noticeably lacking. Not bad, but not strong enough. Yes, Sidu's players also understood what they were going to do next. No out, runner at second base. 5th batter, 3rd baseman Misukoven. The second chapter, 205, Chapter 5, mashed potato recipe in the West Tokyo qualifier, Sida High School against Mayman High School in the first half of the second inning. With a strong hit from the captain, Sidu High School's joyful time to make mashed potatoes began. Of course, this was only for Sida High School. For Mayman High School, The next half hour or so was their biggest nightmare since they played baseball for 3 years. No out, runner at second base. With a low growl of Yuga, Masuko Toru walked to the strike zone. After receiving signs from Kataoka, Masuko adjusted his batting stance and grip. Instead of chasing long hits, he's looking for a strong grounder. His strength is enough, and now the most important goal is to hit the ball solidly. At a time like this, the catcher of Meiman High School has not yet sobered from the powerful swing of Tetsu. In his mind, the memory of the swing started to repeat again and again. We are not at the same level at all. These words were not spoken, but they clearly appeared in the heart of the catcher of Meiman High School. His fighting spirit has completely gone. However, he is already in his third grade, and he has not completely collapsed. Even if he can't win, he wants to play a good game, a game worthy of his 3 years of hard work. Normally, the more you train, the more calm your performance during the game is. It can be seen from this that even though Meiman High School is a public school, the efforts of their players are worthy of respect. After calming down, the catcher noticed Masuko's grip, which wasn't very long and seemed to be trying to hit a solid. The opponent is likely to swing the bat on the first ball, so use the breaking ball on the first ball. A submarine, side-throwing form. Even a famous high school as Seto High School, and they have never seen it before. Seeing them for the first time, it is natural for them to miss the center of the ball. The catcher at Meiman High School came with this plan in mind. His plan is not wrong. Masuko, who is not very good at hitting breaking balls, and the catcher made the first pitch harder to hit the center of the ball. This is okay. With a loud shout in his heart, Meiman's catcher was ready to remind his teammates to guard. However, what happened next left him stunned. Ping! The metal bat only partially swept the baseball. Nevertheless, this half-swing still sent the white ball forward. He saw a white light rising into the sky and then bounce back into the outfield. With a normal short grip, Masuko hit a solid hit. Without hitting the center of the ball, he used tyrannical power to forcefully sweep the ball out. With a hit, Masuko took the opportunity to rush to first base. Tetsuya had been prepared for a long time, ran directly from the second base, and advanced to the third base bag. The situation became no out, runners at first and third base. The outfielder of Meiman High School can still return to defense fast. Otherwise, Masuko can go to second base, and he can even return a home plate directly. Amazing Masuko Senpai. Consecutive hits. Cool. No out, runners on first and third base. A good chance to score. In the stands, the players from the second string and the third string stood up excitedly and cheered Masuko. In the previous practice games, Masuko's performance has been fluctuating quite a bit. This made many people who cared about him very worried. Now, in the first game, he hit a strong hit, which finally made these people breathe a sigh of relief. The rest area of Seto High School. Coach Okiai, replacing manager Oda, sat on the bench. Yes, before the competition, Kataoka suddenly went to him and asked him to be his advisor during the tournament. I have very little experience in competitions, especially the experience of Koshien. I hope that Okiai coach will remind me in time if he discovers anything. Compared to Oda, who is without much sense in baseball generally, Okiai's expertise is even more valued by Kataoka. At the Kanto tournament, Kataoka had a problem in this regard. If Seto is aiming for national hegemony, Kataoka believes that Okiai's experience will be of great help to him. This makes Okiai very comfortable. Although the school did not give him an increase in salary, he happily agreed to Kataoka's request. It's just that an opponent like Meiman really needs him to give advice. Okiai was very skeptical. This swing is very good. If it is honed well enough, it will become a very terrifying strong swing. With a half swing, he almost swept the ball off the field. Masuko has a terrifying strength. Kataoka agreed with Okiai's suggestion. He has noticed this. As long as we can adjust his swing and achieve good results, he will also be favored by professional baseball. Okiai nodded. By the way, I heard that there was a scout who visited you specifically for Yuki. Yes, there are 3. Okiai looked up in surprise. Seto has not entered the Koshien for several years in a row, lacking such an important resume, and Yuki has the favor of 3 professional teams. Not simple, really not simple. Compared to Sairakokai High School, his previous school, Sidu seems to be more recognized by professional baseball. Sixth batter, catcher to Kigawakan. After Masuko, it was Chris who stepped into the strike zone. Come on, Chris. Good luck, Brad. Now's the time to do something great. That guy's too lucky. Just came back to participate in the competition, and this kind of juicy meat was delivered to your door. The cheering of third-year seniors is unique. However, this surprised Sawamura. Chris Senpai, even after the one-year window. Isashiki Senpai, Ryo Nissen, and other senpais can get along with him like that. It's not easy, catcher of the third year. This title, while a bit of an insult to the third-year seniors, but at the same time it brought them a form of unity. It is precisely because they are weak that they are more united than any previous year before in Seto High School. When Chris was injured, he was training hard because of his companions. Now he is back. The third-year senior, like his family, welcomed him with open arms. I don't have to worry about you. As the best talent of his year, Chris has top-level strength, even if he has a one-year gap. Ping. It looks like a mediocre swing, but it hits the ball solidly. Chris had a well-timed hit to give Sita the lead. No out, runners at first and second base. Yuki ran back to home plate, and Sita led the score by 1 point. 0:1. In the face of a very rare submarine side thrower-pitcher, the batters at Sita High School seemed to be playing their game and hitting consecutive hits. In Situ's dugout, Miyuki pouted in dissatisfaction. Me too, although Chris Senpai's hits are clean and cool. But Miyuki Kinzuya also didn't think that he would lose to him if he went up. Honestly, he felt uncomfortable watching the game from the bench. 206, Chapter 6. Punished for excellence, we lost points at this moment. The players of Meiman High School truly felt the shadow of their failure. Sawamura's pitching made it impossible for them to find a scoring gap. Even in their brains, there is no way to imagine the scene of taking a point from Sawamura by themselves. After seeing Sawamura's pitching, the players at Meiman High School immediately realized that there was only one chance of winning this game. It was to not lose points and wait for Sawamura to make mistakes. Great pitchers are not gods either. There are always times when they make mistakes, or they miss a pitch, or they get tired therefore. As long as they do not lose points, the players of Meiman High School will never give up their victory. After losing points, they finally realized that defeating Sidu might just be an unattainable dream for them. Seventh batter, pitcher, Sawamura Kan. This time, Sawamura returned to the bottom of the lineup. It's not that Kataoka doesn't trust Sawamura's batting power. Arranging Sawamura to play in a lower lineup is mainly to allow Sawamura to focus more on pitching. No out, runners at first and second base. Sawamura waved the bat in his hand and walked to the strike zone. Right now, it was the most turbulent moment for the players of Meiman High School. They are on the verge of falling. Even without Sidu's persisting attack, they will fall. This is boring, although pitching in the game makes Sawamura very happy. Nevertheless, it was really hard to get Sawamura interested in playing against an opponent of this level. People who have played video games generally have the same experience. Playing against other people who are better and more skilled than you is more fun, even if you're losing. The players of Meiman High School worked very hard, and their spirit was very touching. However, this does not change the fact that they are weak. Such a team, even if they didn't meet Sidu, would be very difficult to win 3 games and make it to the quarterfinals. Unless their opponents are also weak, and their luck is still against the sky. Just relying on their submarine pitcher to defend can make them float for a while, but they still do not have that kind of strength to keep them afloat all the time. Sawamura, who is not interested in the game itself, has little interest in mashing some potatoes. The bat in his hand was raised high, and Sawamura's batting form was wide open. Meiman's catcher was taken aback. Right now, there were runners at first and third base, and no one was out. He thought that Sawamura might choose to bunt. After all, the giant teams value scoring more points than the continuation of the offensive. Especially in the early stages of the game, it is particularly important to establish a leading edge. Unexpectedly, Sawamura wanted to fight normally. However, that's fine by them too. Sawamura's pitching really made them hopeless. If you can play him by the nose when he is at bat and make him angry, easier for him to reveal flaws. It's not that Meiman has no chance at all. Bring it on. Throw the ball into the outside corner, even if it's a ball. This was their previous strategy to deal with Yuki, although it was unsuccessful against the Yuki. But dealing with Sawamura shouldn't be a problem, right? The catcher of Meiman High School encouraged himself in his mind. Whoosh! Like a ball that suddenly jumped out of the ground, the ball approached the mound. The average batter, watching this kind of pitching, will indeed be very uncomfortable. Because pitchers generally pitch from the upward, the ball is thrown from high to low. The batter is used to the change from high to low, and seeing the ball flying from low to high will of course be uncomfortable. Unfortunately for Meiman, Sawamura is no ordinary batter. He has more than 10 years of baseball experience in his previous life. What kind of strange pitcher has he never seen? On experience, it was absolutely impossible to find a more experienced batter than Sawamura in the entire high school. So the habit problem is solved. The speed of the ball is not fast. In the early 120 kilometers per hour, 75 miles per hour. Among the pitchers in high school, this pitcher's ball can even be said to be slow. Not only that, but there is no power in pitching. How much power can a 120 kilometers per hour ball have? The only problem is the angle. Sawamura used a big swing grip to frighten him. With the timidity of a catcher of Meiman High School, of course, he did not dare to pitch to the inside corner. So he could only pitch to the outside corner. Sawamura first aimed at the outside corner. Taking a step forward, Sawamura's body moved forward. The ball path from the outside corner, for him, became the center. The bat in his hand, like a judge's hammer, fell heavily. Ping! The small white ball was hit and flew into the sky. Sawamura threw away his bat, clenched his left hand, and stretched it to the sky. He knew he had hit a home run. With Sawamura's announcement, the small white ball landed on the stand beyond the outfield, as if it was under control. Home run. 3-point home run. Sita High School leads the score by 4 points. It feels like nothing. Sawamura ran the bases excitedly and muttered in his mouth. It feels like playing a game against AI. Although it's not interesting, the 5-chain kills can still make you very happy. Obayashi, Kobayashi, and Miyamoto had already made preparations. When the pitcher and Sawamura faced off, they held their breath and watched intently. The ball went out because it was hit so well, their eyes followed the ball, and they didn't have time to cheer. The home run hit, and Sawamura was already on the verge of first base. Moreover, before, Sawamura raised his hand like he had hit a home run. Before the fans cheered, the players of the Sea-Doo's second string and the third string had already started to cheer. They still missed the best time to cheer again. Miyamoto's face turned pale. This is all caused by his poor command. Next time he must be the first to cheer home run. 0-4. Demon King, Demon King. Sawamura. This kid must have saved the world in his last life. He has encountered good things no matter what. In the dugout, the players of Sita cheered. Only Kuramochi's face was not very good looking. Sawamura, this stinky boy, was aiming for the ball that had struck him out earlier. That damn boy. For in a row, 4 points. No matter what kind of training Meiman had gone through before, at a time like this, they had realized that their summer was over. This game has already been marked in advance. In addition, Sita's attack is far from over. Masuko, Chris, Sawamura, the three reunited at home plate and gave each other a high five. Sawamura-chan, nice batting, Masuko said in a soft voice. Well done. Chris also smiled and said to Sawamura, his eyes were like an older brother looking at his younger brother. When the three returned to the rest area, they saw Kataoka's cold face. Didn't I say there's no need for flashy long hits? Suddenly, spring is gone. The winter is coming. Sawamura shivered subconsciously. Did you take my word for granted? Kataoka glared at him with a fierce look. Sawamura shrank his neck subconsciously and did not dare to speak. Boss, I just hit a home run and completely defeated the opponent. It is difficult to do, but I also have to be disciplined and punished. From the next inning, get off the mound and go out to the outfield to calm down. Yes, boss, Sawamura replied feebly. When Kataoka was angry, Sawamura would not be so stupid to talk back to him. Right now, Sakai hadn't played yet, and when he heard Kataoka's words, his eyes were filled with tears. I didn't do anything, you know. Why did Sawamura make a mistake and I was the one who ended up being replaced? 207. Chapter 7. Sidhu's Buster Call. In the first half of the second inning, Sidhu High School attacked. No out, no one on base. It's the eighth batter's turn to hit, Shiratsu. It's not like Sidhu High School's offense this inning has just begun. Before that, they had 4 straight hits and 4 runs. This included a 3-run home run by Sawamura. And because of this home run, Sawamura was replaced down the mound ahead of schedule. After Shiratsu came on the field, he was very uncomfortable facing Minamadera's submarine pitching. Ping! The white ball flew after being hit and got into the gap in the defense of Maimon High School. Shiratsu took this opportunity to hit first base. No out, runner at first base. Right now, the catcher of Maimon High School was numb. This is already the 5th one. Even if it is by luck, it was time for them to get one out. No, none at all. 5 hits in a row without a single out. It felt as if the attack of Sidhu High School would never stop. Ping! At the critical moment, Sakai looked at the other party with eyes full of pity and gave them a slow high fly. Sakai, who was aggrieved. No. Snap. Out. 1 out. Runner at first base. Sidhu High School has finished the first round, and the second round has begun. Hi-ha! Kuramochi took the strike zone at this moment. Since being resolved, he has been getting himself ready for revenge. Nevertheless, even if he had such a plan in his mind, Kuramochi never thought that his chance for revenge would come so soon. However, he will never say no to it. Ping! On the first pitch, Kuramochi hits the ball directly in front of the pitcher. When seeing this ball, Maimon's catcher was still very excited. The bouncing ball from the front of the pitcher, if this is handled properly, is a double play. Past second base, Shiratsu ran to the base 1 step ahead, and the pitcher received the ball and passed the second base. Is there still time? Safe. In addition, it was too late for them to stop Kuramochi. Like a cheetah, Kuramochi rushed to first base. Even if Minamadera catches the ball and passes the first base directly, he may not be able to stop Kuramochi, let alone pass the second base first, and then let the second base pass the first base because of the failure of the double play of Maimon High School. The situation became 1 out and runners at first and second base. In the stands, the spy of the Sanka High School shook his head. They are completely being led by the nose. The fielders from Maimon High School are really thinking too much about the runners and want to make a double play. 1 out, runner at first and second base. Second batter, second baseman, Kaminato-kun. Kaminato Ryosuke walked up to the strike zone with a smile and hit again in the direction where he was shut out before. This time, the baseball lands. Fallen there, got up from there too. Ryosuke went to base, and Kuramochi and Shiratsu each advanced 1 base. 1 out, full base. Third batter, center Isashiki. And now, it was Isashiki's turn at bat. Ora! Ping! With Isashiki's roar, he hit the outfield. Shiratsu and the fast Kuramochi went straight back to home plate. Ryosuke also ran to third base with the advantage of running first. 1 out, runner at first and third base. The total score becomes 0-6. In this inning, Sidhu High School scored 6 points. Moreover, that's not all. Fourth batter, first baseman, Yuki-kun, Minamadera and Maimon High School catcher, who had been completely frightened, of course, did not dare to fight head-to-head with Tetsuya at a time like this. Ball! Ball! Walk to base! Tetsuya is sent directly to the base. The situation has changed again. 1 out, full base. Fifth batter, third baseman Masuko-kun. Yuga. Masuko made a heavy swing and hit a slow hit to the outfield. Snap! Out! Although Masuko was shut out by the outfielder, Ryosuke ran back home in one breath because of the distance. Back in the rest area, Masuko also saw Kataoka's cold face. What were you thinking about just now? Kataoka asked sharply. Masuko's heart throbbed when asked. Although he didn't swing a full swing, the moment he hit, he was thinking of hitting a home run. Thinking of this, he bowed his head in shame. Kataoka snorted coldly. Don't be influenced by that stinky boy Sawamura, continues attack, and really tear the opponent's defense. This is the true style of Sidhu. Yes, sir. 2 outs, a runner on first and second base. Because Kaminato Ryosuke ran back to home plate, The score became 0-7. Chris came in and hit a hit that sent Isashiki back to home plate. 0:8. 2 outs, a runner at first and third base. 7. Datter, Peter, Sawamura. The attack returned to Sawamura. Miyamoto led the guards and waited in full force. When Sawamura got to base, they began to shout, "Sawamura, Sawamura, Demon Lord." They were still a beat behind Brotherhood of Red Heart. Ball. Walk to base. Sawamura enjoyed the same treatment as Tetsuya and was directly walked. In the end, Sita's score stayed here and did not continue to expand. Even so, Sita's attack power is scary enough. The investigation team of the Sanka High School and Inashiro Industrial looked at it and thought at the same time. Although the opponent is indeed not strong, it is definitely not the kind of team that can be ravaged like this. Meiman High School is somewhat good too. Nevertheless, even the somewhat good Meiman did not even survive a round of lineup in Sita's hands. A round refers to a round of 9 batters. They were completely defeated. As expected of Sita High School, which is famous for its lineup, this current lineup is really scary. Finally, after exhausting all efforts, Meiman High School finally scored 3 outs and ended the inning. The rest area of Sita High School. Kataoka's eyes swept across the faces of Tampa and Kawakami and finally fell on Furuya. Tampa and Kawakami are experienced enough, and their strength is very stable. A minute before, he and Okiai talked about it, and Okiai considered the scouting teams of the other powerhouses. Therefore, Kataoka decided it was more appropriate to give this opportunity to Furuya to make the future opponents focus on him and stop the other teams from getting more information on his pitchers. Furuya, prepare yourself and start playing from this inning. On the bench, Furuya Satoru stood up and respectfully nodded to Kataoka. In the second half of the second inning, Meiman High School attacked. At the beginning of the inning, the commentator announced Seidu's substitution order. Pitcher Sawamura moved to the outfield, and Sakai's outfield was substituted and was replaced by pitcher number 18 Furuya Satoru. They saw Seidu change pitchers. The resting area of Meiman High School, which had been lifeless, suddenly came to life. Seidu really underestimated us, thinking that the victory was locked, so they changed that monster pitcher. Let us teach them how cruel high school baseball is. In the high school game, even if the score is behind at the beginning of the game, the score can be reversed slowly later. This is not the end. Children, we still have a chance. Don't despair. 208, Chapter 8. A new Chris believer in the second half of the second inning. Seidu changed pitchers. Sawamura went to the outfield, and Furuya went to the pitching mound. Seeing this scene, Coach Junichi was so grateful for his luck so much that he wanted to go to a temple to make an offering and burn some incense. Perfect, so perfect. The powerhouse Seidu is still careless. Still, it's a good thing for them. If Seidu does not underestimate the enemy, what can they do? Do they think all the first grades are Sawamura? Instead of using the third-year players, they gave the mound to a freshman. When a new pitcher comes on the field, it's okay to try a few pitches. Furuya, who just debuted, made a huge mistake. He missed the ball that Chris passed him. Haha, I knew it. Stiff face, embarrassed expression. Meiman's coach can imagine Furuya's embarrassment. Of course, the first-year player will be nervous to play in such a competition. Even if Seidu is in the lead now, this can be changed. Before the game officially started, Chris applied for a timeout to the referee and stepped onto the mound. The dugout of Meiman High School. Be flustered, be nervous. The demise of Seidu is starting now. Superintendent Chiba Junichi stepped on the bench with one foot in high spirits and kept beating the megaphone in his hand. In the stands, Obayashi glanced at Chiba Junichi. Meiman's coach is quite interesting. Kobayashi rolled his eyes. Idiot, of course, he's interesting. He didn't know anything at all and was in such a high spirit. On the mound, Chris knew that Furuya would be nervous when he was on the field, even though nothing could be seen from his expression. Seidu's 4 pitchers. Sawamura is the undisputed absolute ace. Tampa and Kawakami, other than the speed of the ball, are several miles ahead of Furuya in terms of performance in all aspects. Furuya, who is not good at getting along with people, is probably under a lot of pressure. In the face of such a talented and sensitive Kohai, Chris is still very cautious. Furuya, why did you come to Sidu in the first place? Facing Chris's question, Furuya didn't know how to answer. Why did I come to Sidu? Now that you're not playing alone anymore, trust the guys behind you. And trust me, I'll lead you to be the #1 pitcher in Japan. Chris's expression was indifferent, but his words were particularly convincing because of this indifference. #1 pitcher in Japan. When Furuya heard this title, he subconsciously glanced at Sawamura in the outfield. At this glance, Sawamura looked curiously. Shursho won't give Furuya some weird ideas, will he? Chris has a very magical ability. He can peer into people's hearts. He knows what the other party wants most. Sure enough, upon hearing Chris's words, Furuya Satoru immediately converted into a loyal dog. As long as he can become the #1 pitcher in Japan, he is willing to do anything Chris asks. As soon as his thoughts are simple, he will naturally no longer think about those messes. Very good. Seeing Furuya return to normal, Chris continued. Do you know why the coach sent you in? Furuya shook his head honestly. He sent you to play because the coach values you. He thinks you can continue Sawamura's pressure on the opponent, which is something that Tampa and Kawakami can't do. After Sawamura, seeing Kawakami or Tampa pitching can only make Meiman's players think they are lucky. But you are different. You can carry on the fear that Sawamura brought to them. The coach sent you on the field precisely because he trusted you to carry such a burden. Furuya didn't understand most of this talk, but he liked the sound of it, especially the first and last sentences, which he liked very much. The coach trusts you. There were 2 little blushes on his face, and Furuya was excited with an aura flaring like a mountain. Aim to strike out all batters and pitch to my mitt carefully. Yes, looking at the back of Chris leaving, Furuya fell into contemplation. Why did he choose Sidu in the first place? Probably to find someone to catch his pitching, and for that catcher in a magazine, Miyuki Kinzuya, it was precisely because of reading Miyuki Kinzuya's report that Furuya made up his mind to apply for the Sidu. Even if he hadn't seen him before, he just had the feeling that the guy reported in the magazine would definitely catch his fastball. Miyuki is very good, and he can really catch his own pitch. When he saw that, Furuya was very excited. He believed that Miyuki Kinzuya was the best gift God had given him. Seeing Chris now, he suddenly felt his previous thinking was too simple. How can I just be content with someone catching my pitching? I have to find someone who can lead me to become the #1 pitcher in Japan. Chris Senpai, Superintendent, I will not let you down. The simple boy became a new Chris believer like this. Furuya Satoru never doubted it precisely because it was Chris who said it. If Miyuki also said it, then the effect would be way less. Despite these words, Chris himself may not believe it. Nevertheless, Furuya has never doubted that he has to work hard all his life for this goal. The second half of the second inning officially begins. The 4th batter of Meiman stood on the strike zone. That's right, the 4th batter. Although Sidu's lineup has rotated for 2 rounds, the lineup of Meiman High School has only just begun. Bring it on. The 4th batter was ready to defeat the now nervous Sidu freshman and help the team get a few points back. He didn't have the luxury of saying anything about winning the game. After all, the gap in strength is too big, and the gap in the score is even bigger. Meiman has no hope of making a comeback. However, in the final year's competition, he still hopes to win a few points to honor his 3 years of hard work. This goal is very reasonable, not really high. It is a pity that Furuya, who was baptized by Chris, did not satisfy his plan. Roar! The ball that seemed to be like lightning splitting the sky stunned Meiman High School's 4th batters. He felt his breathing quicken and he was at a loss. People faced with a desperate situation will struggle to the end, even if it is in vain. The same is true for the 4th batter of Meiman High School. He was dazed and waved his batter. Snap! The results are as predicted. Strike! Strike! Strike batter out! Strike batter out! Strike batter out! With the exact same rhythm as Sawamura, the pitch is even more flashy than Sawamura. In the stands, many spectators who watched Furuya pitch for the first time were simply gaping their mouths. They stared blankly at the tall and thin figure on the pitcher mound. Is this a dream? How fast is this ball? Monster, monster! Aren't the pitchers of Sidu not very strong? What is going on? They lied. Everything was a lie. The dugout of Maimon High School. Superintendent Chiba Junichi's mouth opened wide, and the megaphone in his hand fell to the ground at some point. Nightmare. It must be a nightmare. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Furuya completed the perfect relay from Sawamura. 3 outs, offense and defense exchange. Now, Maimon High School had completely lost their fighting spirit. Sawamura took off his mitt while teasing the lost Miyuki. You really can't do it. When Chris Senpai partnered with Furuya just now, Furuya threw a total of 4 balls and 9 pitches. Furuya threw more balls with you before, right? Miyuki rolled his eyes at Sawamura and didn't bother to pay attention to him. Miyuki refused to respond to him until he returned to the main position. 209. Chapter 9. First win of the summer for the seniors at Maimon High School. The memories of their final year of baseball are filled with fear and despair. It is said that any team that seriously aims at Koshien should not be underestimated. Maimon High School has worked hard for this year's summer competition. In order to be able to enter Koshien, they trained hard under limited conditions. Under the guidance of Chiba Junichi, they practiced baseball as much as possible. Many nights they were in the hallway, practicing passing, catching, and swinging. Finally, they have the confidence to face the 3 giants of West Tokyo. And the result? The players from Sita High School didn't even play seriously, so they sent 2 first-year pitchers. It's these 2 first-year pitchers who let them know what despair is. The first pitcher is now the most famous high school baseball player, Sawamura Eijun. He showed all-round skills and power. The ball is fast, well-controlled, and sharp. At the level of Maimon High School, it was extremely difficult to even touch his ball. They can only get 3 strikes in a row, and Minamidera, their trump card, Sidhu also adapted to his pitching in an inning. Yes, in an inning, not by the second half of the game. But by the second inning, Sidhu's batters had already begun to familiarize themselves with Minamidera's pitching. There are not a lot of submarine pitchers in the whole country. Have any players in Sidhu ever seen such a pitcher? Nevertheless, even if they hadn't seen him before, they still hit him out. 1 swing, 1 hit, like all of this was a joke. Despair after despair hit the players of Maimon High School. At a time like this, as if God took pity on them, the pitcher of Sita High School was replaced. The all-powerful Sawamura moved to outfield with another first-year pitcher. The huge lead made Sita careless. They regarded this game as a stage for the freshmen to familiarize themselves with the atmosphere of the tournament. For a moment, the players of Maimon High School really thought their chance had come. However, in the end, there is only more despair. The terrifying pitch seems to shatter the air. You can even clearly hear the roar of the baseball when it enters the top of the plate. Horror so scary in the terrifying pitch of Furuya Satoru, Maimon's batter sank. In the first half of the 3rd inning, Sita High School scored a full 5 points, extending the lead to 13 points. In the second half of the 3rd inning, Kaminato Ryosuke was replaced, and his little brother Kaminato Haruchi came onto the field. Sidhu completely regarded this game as a stage to hone newcomers. Kaminato Haruchi's fielding skills didn't show up. What can he do? Furuya's pitch has not been hit. However, in the next at-bat, Haruchi's performance was too dazzling. He swings on the first pitch and then hits. This performance is even better than most of the main players in the first string. It's so dazzling that you can't take your eyes off it. Next, he went on to get 2 more at-bat. 3 hits, 100% hit rate, 4 RBIs. He came from behind and became the top 3 players in Sidhu's score. First, Sawamura had a 100% hit rate in this game, either a hit or a walk, and a 5-run RBI. Second, Chris with 5 at-bats, 4 hits, and 5 RBIs. On one of those at-bats was a second base slow fly high that was picked up. Third, Haruchi has 3 at-bats, 3 hits, and 4 RBIs. What about Tetsuya, you ask? After the first round, Yuki was walked every time, so no RBI. Just 1 hit, and that's it. Among all the players in Sidhu, the batting performance is the last. Furuya, 4 at-bat, 2 blocked, 1 outfield hit, 1 2-run homer, 3-run RBI. The score is the case. First inning, 0 points. Second inning, 7 points. Third inning, 5 points. Fourth inning, 6 points. Fifth inning, 5 points. Total score is 0-23. What is interesting is that in 23 points, the three little guys in the first grade scored 12. Sawamura himself scored 5 points. Kaminato Haruchi 4 points.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.